Operation. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Good.
I hope we get some good questions and stuff today too.
Well, I have a test going on right now.
Uh-oh,
So,
a test?
Yeah, based on put a short out on this and did some other things.
Okay.
So, we'll see.
I need to start watching your shorts. Yeah. That's great that you're doing that. I feel
I'm on my top right now. I'm doing my top 5 reference of Greyhawk reference books, and I've done 5 and 4.
Yep.
So,
Chris,
hey, Chris,
hello.
first there. You see it? Sound good? Sound check. Sound check. I want to make sure we're doing good.
Yeah, doing good
Awesome.
here.
Good here. Earlier start to ramp up for an hour, so I told Gary and Sam we're not gonna put the link in until after the first hour.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do some tests. Rudy, good to see you, Rascal. Good to see you, Baker. Good to see you.
Back in 2001, when we first began working with Gary Gygax, he pitched this wonderful series of books to us. Yeah, he called them the Gygaxian Fantasy Worlds.
Oh, you know what?
Was this
I didn't give him login IDs.
encyclopedic set of books for role
okay.
players,
That's
writers,
probably what they're
game
waiting
designers,
for.
the whole-
That
the whole
explains
lot of
it.
us
Yep.
Yeah, hold
used
on.
in making our games, creating our adventures,
Even though
writing
it's the
stuff for
same.
publishable content.
Yeah, but they
whatever
might
it
still
may be.
Yeah.
not know
And there
that.
was really no end to what he envisioned
Hello,
this
services.
series to be. We eventually published The Canting Crew, The World Builder, Living Fantasy, 7 volumes in total. We had another 3 that were ready to go to print, another 3 or 4 after that we were working on. So the series was really open-ended. We are bringing these back. That's what this Kickstarter is. We've got 7 books online ready to be printed. We've got another 3 right after that we want to get it minimally out as we were working on them at the time. Those will be out definitely in PDF, depending on how well the Kickstarter does, and maybe even more than that. Once we kind
Harley
of push
Quinn, good to
beyond
see you. Good name.
the necessary stretch goals and all that mess. But welcome to the what we're calling the Gary Gygax World Building Archives, and please give us your support. Share it around if you can. Pledge if you can. Whatever you need to do, whatever you can do for us and the memory of Gary Gygax, we very much appreciate it.
Trollord Games. Join the fray.
Chuck's hysterical. Alrighty. It's still only the 2 of us, but hey, they'll get on.
We can,
We're good. I mean, it's still got
Yeah.
time, so.
yeah. Worst case scenario, we can talk about Vecna. Yeah.
It was good.
Yep, that's good to hear, sir. Me too. This is awesome to talk about Vecna. Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee you guys will love the content.
Yeah.
Source, that's good to hear. We're waiting for both them. We're waiting for them to come on. So, but and then I got it. Mike is definitely out tonight. He's got his game. So let me start the giveaway up for Classic D&D reprint as well. So don't forget to do that. I think I fixed all my recent events too. So we'll see. We'll see if it's still screwed. If it is, I don't know what else to do. I thought I fixed them all. JR, what's up? I just literally talked to them on Discord like 20, 30 minutes ago. So got one. With one, the other's not far away. Boom. Have a green background. Sam's picture reminds me of the cover of a Pink Floyd album.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Antiquitous.
But I love it, the fact that we've all chosen pink or pink purple for Vecna, including Wizard of the Coast, because that's what Greyhawk Mike put in and Scott Casper put in their comic.
Really?
They made pink purple hoods for the Vecna cultists, and everybody seems to have gone with that color since then, so to speak. So yeah, that's.
All the graphics are Gary. I have like no graphic ability. I'm just a text guy.
Yeah, but it's so cool that color stuck. But I also think even from the first, that's Tharistun has that color. So it's something that Mike and Scott came up with for some reason. I think it was Mike because he did the cartoons and did the drawings, and that color stuck. And even Wizard of the Coast are using that same color in their Vecna stuff. So yeah.
So this is all Mike's fault.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's Mike's fault. Yeah, so good to see you again, Sam. Yep.
It's someone's fault.
Perfect. Yep.
You can't blame me. I get blamed enough.
And I just tagged along on what
Vamp.
others had done,
Thanks,
so to speak. So when it comes to that,
hype train incoming. Awesome. All right, let's come live.
Yeah.
Guy gave me an okay in Discord, so. What's up, Arthur? All right, let's hit the live button here. Boom. Hello. We start off another week with an interesting and really cool topic. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jake Lurgas. I'm with me, Anna Meyer.
Hello.
And half of the dynamic duo for this publication. We got Sam Weiss on, and we're just waiting for Gary Julian as well. Sam, welcome.
Howdy.
You look good, man. The picture looks better. The picture's better than the other ones have been, man. So you must have done something.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a new lamp.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
A new lamp. Well, that'll do it.
I got a new lamp, so I'm actually backlit instead of having to put my lamp like 6 feet away and just, glare at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just giving Curtis something funny. Tomorrow night we're playing the first like Pathfinder / Bloody Brethren, and Curtis did such a great job playing Fritz Winchester on Saturday night, but that's Fritz's group is going tomorrow, so back to my hands for an NPC, which would be great. All right, so wow, this is going to be an exciting deal tonight. Here we got a Classic D&D reprint giveaway. After the first hour, we'll put the links in. We ain't putting it in early. All right, I'm testing something out here, and we'll find out if it worked or not. Mm-hmm. I actually did a short on this, and I did a lot more advertising for this, and we'll see. But then, so more Fritzies for the Fritz, yeah. How many of you have noticed this? You do something, And oh, thanks, Harley. Get us over that. Thank you so very much. All right, that works. That's good. All right, here comes the test of all time. I'm gonna hit this button here, and I want to see if I get the weird one or the good one here. And we'll hit those resubs that came in, or if they even work at all. It may not even work. There we go. All right, look, it worked. Woohoo! With the new font and everything. Oh my gosh. Hey, John, good to see you. So, and then I noticed there's some people complaining on Twitter.
Well, are there people do anything else but complain on Twitter?
About the new Vecna book. About the new Vecna book. It's just only average. It's WotC. It sucks or whatever. And I try to chime in. I'm like, there's a community out there that has all this information. It's trying, and we have this show on Wednesday. And these are well-known names out there, and they're like into the ether. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the disjointedness of. Now I understand it a little bit. I understand that people just are only interested in what they're interested in, and that's complaining. Mm-hmm. Complaining. There's a lot of it going on Twitter.
People are interested in just complaining. Those are the people that are like us, the over opinionated people like us that are on the internet, and we praise or complain. That's what we do. Yeah,
I try to, and I'm trying to be
we try to. I try to, but I go on rants at times too. So I try to keep them off the shows, but I've gone on rants a couple of times.
Yeah, and some of these people are like fringe people of the community. I'm not gonna name names that aren't on here, but like them. If the name's popped up, you know the name, and I'm like,
Yeah, I haven't seen the new Vecna book yet, but I've seen from reviewers and stuff that seems to be fairly level-headed. At least they seem to give it some praise and a little bit of criticism here and there. But those are from people that know D&D in general very, very, very well, but might not be into the history of Vecna that deep, so to speak. So as a regular 5e module, it seems to got at least decent reviews or better. So yeah,
I've seen it. In terms of the individual adventures, they rate from fair to fairly good.
Yeah.
The framing story, however, is awful.
Yeah, that I'm not surprised, because that's the hardest bit to do in kind of a big commercial project, when you have to please everybody and it needs to span the multiverse. That's hard. Yeah.
Even with that, it's just horrible. If you take everything about Vecna and the Rod of Seven Parts out of the individual adventures, they're quite playable, I think.
Okay.
Quite, I don't know, stealable.
Yeah.
For any campaign.
Yeah.
It's just, don't run the overall campaign.
No, Gary's got a. Oh my!
We got Vecna here, yay!
Oh my God, he's got a Vecna shirt on. Holy jeez!
Yes.
This is awesome. Yeah.
So wow, look at that.
Gary showed me that earlier.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's awesome. Does it work?
That's awesome.
Testing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hey guys.
He's combing his hair, Curtis. His Gary character. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! Wow, good to see you both.
It's young Vecna.
We're just ranting a bit.
Cool.
I was just ranting about the Twitter, and I shouldn't. That people were really not happy with the Vecna book when they hear something great coming out from the community. It's like, I just want to rant. So.
Oh, they were complaining about this?
No, they're complaining about the actual Vecna book, and then of course.
Eve of Ruin.
And then I put in, well, if you want a real Vecna book with real history and timelines and Ur-Flan discussion, and some of them are the fringe Greyhawk people like Merrick Blackman. Sorry,
well, Merrick used to be on Cannon Fire.
Used to be, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, actively, yeah.
Yeah. So he wasn't one of the ones complaining. He was saying he actually liked it. So.
That's
I'm
good.
just saying that was part of the conversation, but there was others that were complaining. So, Did you see the one announced? Yeah, I don't care really. All right, so we'll do that. It's a third-party book. It's not. It's in conjunction with WotC, but it's not by WotC. That book. It's got
Yeah, it's
Mascara in
Random
it.
House. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Random House that
Greyhawk,
yeah.
Planescape. It's got Eberron, but it's not. It's in a partnership with. So whatever they put in it, they put in it. So it's an outside group, which is shocking. But hey, whatever. As Anna said, they probably paid them a lot of money for it. So,
Oh yeah, that's how they got the license. I'm pretty sure they paid a good licensing fee to Wizards, and they can print. Yeah.
This is good though. This is fun.
But it might be, I don't know the designer. He might be really good. So again, it's not published, so I can't criticize it for what it's in it because I don't know. Yeah.
No, and hey, it's cool. It is what it is, and maybe it'll have some
It's more Greyhawk content. I treat it as anything else that someone puts out there, and it might be useful, it might be fun, it might be interesting, inspiring, it might be or not, so to speak. Yeah.
Don't worry about it, Arthur. So we're here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll find out when we find out, but
yeah, it was slated. Was it October, November, something like that, in this fall? I think. I think it was October, coming Kindle and hardback. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that other things open up because of that. I have contact information, and we're going to move forward from there. Whether I get anywhere, we'll see. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to become the Dune Shawshank Redemption and be annoying. Send stuff every week. So, all right, Vecna tonight. All right, Sam and Gary. What a great compilation! This is what a great book. What a great put together of past and some as filling some holes. Right? We want to say fill some gaps, Sam.
Darn it! I can't give Curtis the finger.
A long shot. That'd be awesome. Yeah. The avatar's like, dude, it's Vecna. Yeah, that's an awesome shirt too, man. That's great. I love it. So, tell us how this came together.
Well, as I said in the intro, this really started 23 years ago, when I was doing the Keeland Living Greyhawk stuff. And as I was compiling information for the Sheldamore timeline, of course, Vecna shows up because, of Gary and the origins from Vecna Lives.
Right.
And so the more I'm going through the Keeland stuff, the more I'm realizing, okay, I really need to know a little more about Vecna. And then from a suggestion from Noel Graham, I think he may have gotten it from someone else who used to go by the name of Watcher back in the day. I did a piece that's up at Cannon Fire, tracing the Hand in the Eye, roaming around the Flanays, all the different appearances.
Okay.
And I did 2 shorter pieces about the Yahites and Vecna II at Tyrus, which are incidents that are mentioned in Vecna Lives. And then from that, Eric Mona said, "Hey, Sam, will you write Core Beliefs Vecna?"
Yeah, with Sean Reynolds. This is awesome.
Which was like, okay.
Dragon 348.
Yep. And then, years later, it's like, okay, there may have been things I overlooked. There may have been things I didn't do. Let me start to go back to it. And as I'm going back to it, this is when I come back. Actually, it's because of you. Literally, Rick Miller, Dewey Carthan said, "Hey, Sam, go on Jay when you did your first Vecna show." That's when I rejoined. That's when I joined Discord, but I didn't come on then. And so again, I started talking to Gary, and he mentioned a few more bits of Vecna lore he had imagined. And then I just went on my mad writing binge last year and produced most of this. And again, the thing is, this is I wrote stuff. I asked Gary, "Hey, Gary, what do you think about this?" Gary made some suggestions, some ideas. I said, "Okay." And all of a sudden, I'm writing something else. And then there are, not everything I include is something Gary fully agrees with, which is understandable. We're 2 different people. But whenever he did suggest something, I had another idea.
Right. That's good.
To a degree, I sort of wrote up the Minority Report version. An alternate version.
You riff off each other, and that's so good. Even if hear things you don't like is also good, because that inspires you to react to it. So yeah,
right. Because one of the things, and this I also cover this in it, is in Vecna Lives, Zeb Cook says this is a collection of stories. Not all of them are true.
Right, right,
that
right,
was
right.
brilliantly written.
Right.
Some of this is real, some of this is just nonsense made up, and this is what you'll encounter trying to research Vecna. So along the way, I wrote the stories of all the other people, the main people that had the hand and eye. And then I said, okay, well, what if this person never did have the hand or the eye? And in fact, here's another version where the person never even existed. He was just made up by somebody. Oh yeah, Arthur contributed one idea, one amusing idea, a practical joke. And it's like, okay, this is better than the head of Vecna. I got to include this.
Cool.
And yeah, this is what came out of it. I wrote stuff. Gary wrote stuff. We edited stuff. Paul came in, edited it for us at the last moment. And
I like how it says dialogue and critical assessment.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is not a product in the sense that it's not a module or a gazetteer of any sort. It really is Sam and I discussing the history of the character, the twists and turns that have come around his evolution as like the ultimate D&D villain now.
Yeah.
And so if someone really just wants to get caught up on, who is this character? Why is he so important? This should be a good job at doing that for you.
Okay. So,
but that's just half of it. The other half of it is Sam taking, the known lore and then weaving this entire history of Vecna around it. So
I'll admit to this same, Curtis. I know from Vecna what I only chose to learn, right? Which is not much. Like, okay, there's a couple artifacts. Because when I started reading the adventures, and they're not the three, and I'm talking about Vecna Lives, Vecna Reborn, Die, Vecna Die. They're not a trilogy. They're not a trilogy at all. A lot of them didn't have anything to do with each other.
That's very true.
Yeah, and so it's like if you're going to run them as a trilogy, it's going to be very disjointed.
Three different authors, right?
Completely different authors.
Yeah, in different settings and all sorts of stuff. Meaning, come on, yeah.
So it's like, are there citations? Oh yeah, there's a ton. Where do you see it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Everything's noted. Great question, but everything is noted. 100%. So.
Yes, the opening, aside from Gary and I discussing how we got into this, is I go right into discussing all the background, where everything comes from. And that way you can kind of say, okay, once we get behind any of these background references, now we're getting into the crazy stuff I made up.
Which is good. So yeah, this character is so important in the community. There's a name. So you're right. Vance took the name and wrote under it. He made it. Yeah. The good thing is that you'll see as we go along on this. It's
Dungeons and Dragons was silly like that a bit in the early days. So it's not in keeping with what they were doing, with all their other characters. So, but you do get the feeling that Vecna was meant to stay there in the background as a boogeyman.
Yeah.
A name to scare your players with, but not as a character to throw at them. So,
but that's the way it works, though, Gary, with everything. It's like
you
take a movie, leave it alone. Don't make a sequel. Don't make a TV series after it. Like Highlander. Oh, my God, right? And we got all that stuff, and the best, the movie's the best part of all of it, right? Same thing. You take something that's easy to, we can write more about this. I mean, that's why they did it.
You could imagine Zeb Cook flipping through the DMG and saying, Vecna, I'm going to write a novel about, I'm going to write a module about Vecna. He was kind of, Zeb was our resident artifacts expert for a long time in D&D, so it makes sense that he would be the one to do it. So yeah, I think it's a natural thing to do. You should resist the temptation, but it's not a surprise.
Yeah, there is, in fact, Gary suggested I put this in, and I did. There is a portion there where I discuss using Vecna. And you mentioned the adventures, and honestly, Vecna's not a monster. He's not an entry in the monster manual. Don't. You may want to run Vecna Lives, which I don't outright say, but if you read the intro, Zeb Cook's intro to it, Vecna Lives is pretty much Zeb Cook's outdoor version of Tomb of Horrors. It's not supposed to be for player characters. It's supposed to be for the pre-gens, and the DM's supposed to kill them with gratuitous abandon.
Right.
Yeah, Vecna is not the encounter at the bottom of your dungeon. And I think if you use them that way, which is unfortunately what happened in Vecna Reborn and Die Vecna Die, and yeah, you're wasting him. You're wasting a perfect behind the scenes boogeyman.
Right.
And no, you leave him behind the scenes. Encounter his cult, throw his cult at people, throw his cult in weird ways at the characters. But Vecna, okay, you might want to run Vecna Lives just to kind of give your players that transition to Vecna being an actual demi-power or then lesser power within the setting. You'll run it. Just there to, sort of so the players can say, yeah, I was there when Vecna became a demi-power. Sorry. But he shouldn't be this constant, end boss. That's why.
Yeah, well, when you have him in a TV show, then it's tough.
Right.
Well, we could say that about a lot of characters in the D&D universe, multiverse.
Yes.
A lot of them are being trotted out because essentially it's like a crutch. You use these characters over and over again, like Strahd. I mean, they get plot armor, they can't be killed. Yeah, Warduke. Hey, I like Warduke.
I didn't say anything. He's everyone's asking me, is he canon now?
Warduke is canon. Yeah,
I
definitely.
hear that all the time.
A couple of hacks named Gary and Eric Mona brought those characters, those plastic D&D characters into the Greyhawk.
That's funny, Derek. That's funny.
Yeah.
Bust my balls. You're all gonna get it. You're all gonna get it soon. I guarantee it.
Oh, we can't guarantee it yet.
No, well, I guarantee it. I'm guaranteeing it one way or another.
Yeah, one way or another, you're going to get your revenge here. Yep.
Vecna Prime written by two. So it goes all the way back to Eldritch, right? This is where we start, right? And this is Brian Bloom is the creator, correct?
That's right.
So, and we got
not Gygax.
Right. We got
first.
You got the
hand.
Of,
it's the You
got the hand of Vecna, and you got the eye of Vecna. And he's right out of them, and then you have the sword of Kos, right? They're the three.
Yep.
So, and it says his bodyguard. It doesn't say much beyond that. Power's only dimly hinted, so But there you go. They're the three. And I mistaken in my short said 74, but it's actually 76. This book comes out. So I'm freaking 9 years old when this book comes out. Right, and then jump to 1980 from there.
You couldn't have been more than 2, Jay.
What? Why's that?
You don't look old enough to be.
Oh, well, thank you. Guess what? I feel it. Yeah, I feel it. So, I know we're all busting stones. So yeah, and then in 1980, they're just repeated in here, in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But that's it. I was like,
technically there's like a little bit more in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah, I guess they wrote a little bit more.
Like maybe 5 more lines, and that Vecna's spirits may still be around. Ooh.
Yeah, and that there was one of the artifacts you could fill in. That was like a list of how many functions or like abilities it had that you can fill in.
So is right. I mean, no one had the exact same hand and eye of Vecna because we all created them in our own campaigns. Yeah, either randomly rolling or assigning the abilities ourselves.
Exactly, because there were like slots for open abilities, and then there were long list of abilities. You can roll or you can pick one. There were minor and major abilities. That's how the artifacts worked in the first edition DMG. Yeah,
absolutely.
But there was always the suggestion that somehow maybe the spirit of Vecna, his wraith, was still out there somewhere, because this hand and eye were terribly evil and would ruin the life of whoever acquired them. They may feel powerful for a while, but eventually Vecna would get them. So in fairness to Zeb Cook, yeah, there is a suggestion that Vecna is out there, but not that maybe he could take material form and appear in the campaign.
Sounds a lot like Sauron to me.
It does. You know, the hand and eye really do have a lot of qualities of the One Ring in Tolkien's Legendarium.
Yeah, but we have to realize this is written in the 70s. There wasn't much other fantasy apart from Tolkien. There was slim pickings in the fantasy side. So we have to realize the influence of Tolkien was much bigger than it is today, because now he's just one of many, one of the first, but now there's so much more fantasy. Back then he wasn't that much. There were a few. Yeah.
And that is something that I think we always need to keep in mind when we're judging all these works of the past 40, 50 years ago, because they really were cutting edge. You know, and to us now, some of them may seem simple or like, oh, anybody could have done that. Well, no, because no one had that idea till that person had that idea.
Yep.
So I think, you know, Vecna is just one of those little pieces that, you know, survived edition after edition and kept growing and growing and growing.
Yep.
And Sam and I made our own official contributions to his growth. So.
And Paul, you mentioned the Appendix N. That's basically most of the fantasy that was available in the 1970s.
Right, but from the 1970s until 1990, there was no physical embodiment of Vecna in any work. That was
exactly. Yeah,
he was still just the hand and the eye.
Yep.
And then we get Vecna Lives. Take it away, Sam.
Like I said, Vecna Lives. You know, when it came out, I hated it because oh no, he killed a circle.
I did dislike that too.
Yeah, but
and you know what? At that point, you know, hate. But years later, I realized, you know what? It would have been much better if he killed Mordenkainen along with them and left them all dead, and not given us Baldenkainen and Nombi.
So what you're saying is it would have been better if he living Greyhawked them.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, we just kill everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, as I mentioned earlier, Vecna Lives is really Cook's outdoor adventure Tomb of Horrors.
Right, yeah.
He says this. Okay, he doesn't compare it to Tomb of Horrors,
right?
But he really says, don't run this for your players if they like their characters.
But I will say the work was different from what came before in so many ways, because so much of this module was devoted to backstory, legend.
Yeah. And it had a grander scope. Meaning he took on the big setting and the big stories. Yeah.
You know, most modules before this were sandboxes about a place, and the NPCs weren't that important.
Right.
But in this one, it's almost like a James Bond film. The main NPC is the most important character.
And you get glimpses long back into history as well.
Yes.
He creates a ton of Greyhawk lore in this module. That's for sure.
Yes. And the thing is, he teases it because he's got names. He's got vague hints of locations.
Yep.
Yeah, like Tovad Baragu, he gave that much more of a prominent place and all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just, well, wait, what do we do with this? You know, where do we really go with so many of these incidents? How relevant can they be to the history?
Yep.
And that was something that when I'm developing them, really just kept blowing up in my face, you might say.
Yeah. Like look at this one right in here. It says old tales from the Duchy of Orange even claim Vecna was responsible for the creation of the Bright Desert.
Right. Oh, yes. There's things like that.
Yep.
But no, so the insurrection of the Yahites in southern Keeland, which would be the first appearance 136 years after Vecna's destruction. Okay, that's pretty simple. Vecna II at Tyrus thought to be in the Pomarsh. Yeah, okay, that's pretty simple. But then how many years is it to the Gnome Lord of the Blemu? How many years is it to the Paladin King of Miro? And where exactly are they? Yeah. And when I placed them, all of a sudden I realized they're in a place where something significant is going on. So, you know, the time I picked for the Paladin King of Miro, for the Gnome Lord is Well, that's right before the Great Kingdom took over the Bone March. So wait, the Great Kingdom didn't take over the Bone March for 200 years, even while they're conquering all the northern reaches.
They just
Because
forgot
someone with
about
the
it.
hand of Vecna is sitting in the Blemu Hills.
I mean, it adds
Come and get
in
it,
some
baby.
cool evidence. It supports the story. I
Right.
love when connections like that comes up.
Right.
Yep, that makes sense.
Right. The Paladin King of Miro, I put him up in 10. And then all of a sudden, I'm realizing, wait, I put him in 10 right at a time when the Relentless Horde, the Backlunar Sheridian Nomads, are conquering all of the northern reaches, taking them from Erdi.
10.
It's also right before Nairon declares independence, right before the Pale comes into being, right before, the theocracy of Dimri, which I love to pronounce as Dimmer. I know that drives Gary crazy.
That's awesome.
I like Dimmery too. I
Dimmery
say it
makes
like
more
that. I
sense
love
to
to
me.
say it like
I
Dimmery.
like to call it Dimmer because then it forms a contrast. So you have shining white in Nairon with the Paladin. You have the Pale, and then you have space where the light is, Dimmer.
Oh,
I know
It's
it's
painful.
awful, but
no, but it's kind of cool and quirky in a cool way too. Yeah.
yes, and so like I say, so I'm realizing that by happenstance I picked times and places for them
that it worked,
which is like right smack dab in the middle of major events in the history.
Yeah.
And I think that's so wonderful.
And it supports the event too. That's the other cool thing. It's kind of one more reason that what happened, so to speak.
Yes, yes. But then again, to go with what Zeb Cook wrote in that list, for each of these stories, I created wonderful stories for them. And then I said, okay, but wait, what if this person never had the hand or eye of Vecna?
Oh, and and Curtis has a good thing. Blemu Hills is Bloom, so yeah. Of course, yeah.
And then what if this person never even existed and was just made up by someone else because they wanted to blame Vecna? No, I had to kill all those people because they had the hand of Vecna. Yes, that's it. Evil Lich. Not my fault. And again, it was just so much fun writing all those variant stories.
So, yeah, there's a lot of information here that kind of links in. So, how do you want to do this? You guys want to go over the timeline, or you guys want to go through all the backstory? You want to keep on going through?
Should we do it just a short explanation of what the Flannies might have looked like 1500 to 2000 years ago when this story kind of starts with Vecna? Just the big theme a little bit, yeah, a little bit of an overview, so people who aren't read up on ancient history of the Flannies can have an idea, so to speak, where what the environment he came from, so to speak.
We have introduction to the tale of Vecna right here.
Gary, yes.
I mean, we've probably
a wonderful map.
Yeah,
we probably should keep going through the books that contain Vecna, because I think we'll get to that point.
That's good. Yeah,
pretty soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So Vecna Lives sets up Vecna as definitively Greyhawk. Remember, before Vecna Lives, there was no proof that Vecna was a Greyhawk character.
Correct.
No, he was just one of the things in the DMG.
He's one of the things in the DMG. Now, I argued with Jason Zavoda about this many times. I said, anything in first edition is Greyhawk because Gygax put it there to be used in Greyhawk. So I'm one of those people that subsumes everything that I can from the first edition.
I agree with you. It should be set in Greyhawk somewhere. Yeah.
So for me, Vecna Lives made natural sense. I think Cook did a really good job about creating the lore for this character. I think he really did do his research in order to create this lore. I didn't like the killing off the Circle of Eight. Eric Mona and I had a lot of conversations about that in the early 90s, and we, Eric came up with the clone theory for the return of the Circle of Eight. So if anybody doesn't like that, but having Greyhawk without the Circle of Eight at that time just seemed a little abrupt. So but he introduces these wonderful apprentices of the Circle of Eight, which became useful characters in the campaign. And then we get these successor modules that it evokes the quality of a trilogy, but it's actually not really a trilogy. So the second module we get is called Vecna Reborn.
Yeah.
And
It
so,
seem- oh, sorry.
so at the end of Vecna Lives, we have this, I don't know, almost cataclysmic event where Vecna and IUs are fighting inside of Tovag Baragu. You've got the enemy of my enemy against Vecna, and you know they're throwing godlike bolts against each other, and they get both extracted from Orth through Tovag Baragu and disappear. So then we get Vecna Reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Soth. It's just like Soth running around, attacking. He's in the middle of a fight. He's chasing Tanis around because you're going to kick his ass, and then he gets put in frickin' Ravenloft.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, oh.
On the one hand, that's not that awful, meta plot wise. The thing I dislike about it is Vecna Reborn is when they began to change Vecna from the power of dark and destructive secrets and magic to Mellifluor, Sergeant's Lich power from Monster Mythology.
Right.
All of a sudden, Vecna is all about everything that's undead, which I think is a complete waste.
Yeah.
If you need a power of liches or power of undead, you've got Orcus.
Exactly. There's plenty of those going around. So yeah.
It is.
You got plenty.
Now, from a certain point of view, from what Cook wrote in Vecna Lives, Vecna is very dependent on his worshippers, the common people who serve him and give him the power to have divine status.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, that makes the Ravenloft domain an awesome punishment for Vecna, because now all of his lieutenants, the only way they can survive and be powerful is by killing his ordinary servants. Yeah, and that's perfect Ravenloft. Let's torment our Dark Lord. But then changing all of Vecna to be about, no, I'm about becoming a lich and everyone becomes an undead. There's a character in Planescape that does that. His whole shtick is, yes, being undead is the path to the true death.
It also is too much because you got Animuses now and Greyhawk now. Everything's turning into undead everywhere.
Yeah, it's a waste. It gets used again with Acererak, but again, it makes more sense with Acererak.
Yeah.
For Vecna, it's like you just took away something unique about him, and now he's just another lich power.
Right.
Conan, a few years ago, just another snake cult.
Yeah.
So that's why I really dislike Vecna Reborn. It starts Vecna down this divergent path that I think does nothing, really goes nowhere. So.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate that. Thanks, Gary. Got it. I will put that out there. We will put the download out there in about a half hour for everyone. All right. Promise. Everyone, you'll get to, this is community stuff that they both done. We're looking forward to sharing it with everyone. All right. So then comes Die Vecna Die. Now, if I recall Die Vecna Die, the weird thing about that was every piece of him was a magic item, wasn't it? Is that the one?
Yes.
Even his foreskin, right?
No,
they didn't list that specifically. I guess.
Not go that far, but they had,
scalp.
He
lost that early, so it got lost in
his
history.
Scalp.
Scalp. That's it. It was a scalp, right? Oh my! They did. They had that in there.
The pinky, index finger, middle finger.
The middle finger. That's most important.
And thumb from his other hand, and it's really. They also included, I know it was a great joke, they also included the head of Vecna.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know what? It's a great joke. We all appreciate the joke. I don't think we really needed to put it in the adventure.
Well, you gotta, pithy comments are okay here and there. In fact, I respect that more than some of the other stuff, So his putrid tongue. Yeah, Tim. No, that's you. That's all you. Trust me, I'll hit the wrong button and we'll show that again.
Mm-hmm. It will come soon. Yeah.
On the other hand, there was a bunch of interesting lore and NPCs that get hooked up with Vecna from Planescape, from the Planescape setting from Sigil, that I jumped all over.
Right.
So those are interesting. Those are pretty good. It does a bit of a wait. You're actually coming close to identifying the Lady of Pain. That's completely against Planescape lore.
Right.
So there were these little things that made it less than perfect.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing it a little comical, but luckily in those modules, they really weren't affecting Greyhawk lore. They were.
No, not at all. Yeah. But then the graphic comic comes out, and 90% of the people on here have never, because I don't know of a PDF download of this available.
No, I don't think so.
So like no one's read this.
I've not been able to find one. I perused a lot of the art and can read some of the text in some images I found, but no.
Well, Mike's got it. I think Mike has.
Mike is hoarding it like a dragon.
Yeah.
I have not read it, and as a consequence, I've not included anything from it.
Okay.
Yeah, without being able to read it, I can't reasonably include any material.
Understood. Vecna's like, his mother's in there. Wow. Casa Sarak's in there too. All right.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll note, that's Vecna's origin, that alleged origin, is like almost a copy of a Sarak's origin from Return to the Tomb of Horrors.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
Which, I think we don't need to do that.
Okay. Interesting. That is a picture of an official Vecna. Looked like an elf almost.
Or a Soul.
Oh, that's a Soul. That's right.
Or yeah.
I thought it was Flan.
Yeah, so did all of us.
That's not a Flan. Yeah.
Go back to the go back to the comic book.
Yeah.
Cover. So these guys, I don't know who they are. I think they may have been European, but look at the detail on that. That actually looks like a Flan wizard. You know, they got the coloration right. They got the style right. It's very alien looking. If you go into it, I've seen pictures of Cass. Cass looks wonderful in it. He is not a hobbit, Sam.
Yes, he is.
No, I disagree. I don't think he's a hobbit either. And I also, Gary, you wrote, I think it was, or maybe both of you wrote that he was Vecna and Casanals are whitewashed in Wizard of the Coast products, which is interesting because now that we want to be so inclusive, we whitewash things that shouldn't be whitewashed because
exactly we had a unique culture, people of color that were already in the Greyhawk setting from the very beginning. Vecna was properly situated there.
Exactly, and described by Gary and others early creators as non-white, so to speak, the skin color and all of that, so to speak. They're not Europeans in regular European dudes.
And we're just as capable of being powerful wizards and evil tyrants as anybody else. So why change him? I mean, it doesn't really make sense.
Because someone decided, come on. This is a political statement.
Yeah, but it's interesting that nowadays we can't accuse them for being woke. So maybe, but I don't think it's a political. I think it's
the
just
big bad white guy.
No.
I mean,
I
Jay,
don't think it's that part. No,
you don't have to ascribe to malice what you can explain.
No, I think it's just.
I think they didn't do their research.
Exactly. I think it was just an overlooked. Now they had the chance to be inclusive, so to speak, and they overlooked it. Yeah,
they're so in love with the extra publicity that they've gotten from Stranger Things that they're really forgetting about this character as a D&D character. They're just thinking, how can we just mirror what we see in Stranger Things and make him popular?
That's my guess too. Yep.
Yeah.
He looks more like in Stranger Things. The character looks more like your Avatar, Gary. Right? That guy looks like your Avatar almost.
No, he's blonde. He's blonde and
okay.
Kind of like
he's got those dark features though a little bit in that. And I thought he's got the olive skin.
Well, I mean, when he's human, he's a a blonde 20-something-year-old.
I guess he could always change shape and stuff. He was the master of lies. I guess he could disguise himself and as a demigod, definitely.
So, hey,
but in reality, I see him as much more of different, so to speak. Yeah.
So, all right. So, wow, that's really messed up. I didn't know that they made him look like Legolas, a human Legolas.
Yeah,
Holy
but it's
jeez.
interesting that they in this day and age they whitewash someone they didn't have to, so to speak. That they go
Right.
against the
They
old
didn't have
lore.
to.
Yeah.
The one that played the guitar. No. Because I said that the dude who played Vecna, the Vecna character, looked like someone who used to be kind of in the community. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
All right.
and also we can't blame them with Stranger Things because they didn't do that deep research on D&D, so to speak.
Right,
So
but
and
Stranger Things, everything gets equated to a D&D monster, but it's not. Right?
Exactly.
That's
they
all they're
riffed
doing is the
off
kids are
D&D.
relating to something that
Yeah.
they know. That's
Yeah.
all that is.
Exactly.
Well,
The Red
the
Flare and all, yeah.
The Duffer Brothers, who write and direct the show, they're actually a few years younger than us, like 10 years younger than us. So it matches perfectly for them to be children of the 90s,
Right.
following these Vecna modules at the time that they were big.
Yeah.
In the 80s, nobody had Vecna as a character. Vecna was never a character in anyone's 80s campaign.
No, I never used the hand or eye ever.
Me neither.
It was one of those
not
things,
only as lore, as background,
Yeah.
Boogeyman lore, that's it. I mean, there's like, that's something. Hey, you want to get a hold of that and cut your out, put that in, be my guest, see what happens. It's all bad. So, all right. So, what do we got here? A final bit is from an article you did, the 3.5 core beliefs in Dragon 348. Do you want me to go to that? Here, I got it here. Let me do this.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, as I told Gary, it's sort of a weird place, is how much can I talk about something I wrote? And how much could I paraphrase from something I wrote without, copying it outright? Yeah. One thing is, of course,
Wizards does it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. So the one thing to note is Vecna is a power of undead at this point. And so, no, I couldn't sneak in, returning him to being a power of secrets. Or my really big statement that I wrote back then was Vecna's ability to fail off. This is something from the adventures.
That's a great point you made there. Yeah.
In Vecna Lives, it's not really clear if Vecna's a demi-power yet, but at the end of it, he's definitely a power. He's definitely ascended. He's granting spells and everything. At the end of Die Vecna Die, he's a lesser power. But each time he's been stopped in his grand scheme. He doesn't get to be the overpower of Earth in Vecna Lives. He doesn't get to take over Sigil and have this super stronghold in the plains. He gets defeated, and yet somehow he winds up stronger. So 15 years ago, I wrote, yes, the biggest secret Vecna may have discovered is how to fail upwards.
Well, a lot of us do that in real life.
And yes, and if you keep defeating him, the multiverse may be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good point.
I think Vecna would be a good CEO in today's world. They fail upwards too.
Yeah, I mean.
So this was something I had written for that, but understandably they're sticking with Vecna's power of undead. A lot of other stuff that I had suggested winds up in there. I'm very happy with that.
I like here you put Vecna's church focuses its efforts on acquiring secrets. So you did put that in here.
Yes. Yeah, I mean I did get that in there. And yeah, I think that's really important. Vecna is this whole guy about secrets. What he does with them, we don't really know.
Right.
But he's collecting them. He's not as bad as an underpants gnome. I mean, this will come out. Right. It's not step 1, collect secret, step 2, question mark, step 3, profit. I actually, with Gary, I give him a purpose in our document, but
cool.
He collects secrets, and he has a reason for that. And along the way, he's using them. I guess you could say that Vecna is charging a price for his services.
Okay.
And that's total domination. That seems fair to Vecna. why doesn't it seem fair to all of you people?
Right. And he's not chaotic evil, he's neutral evil.
Yes.
Hmm.
Maybe slightly lawfully leaning, but yeah, for the most part, he's just neutral evil. Because, you know, he's making an omelet and he's got to break quite a few eggs to get there.
Yeah, but those people they were going to die anyway.
True.
I mean, that's just the way he looks at it. It's like, yeah, that's just.
Here's one of the things with Koss. You see here that his sword is more like a rapier
Yeah.
than a
Looks,
short sword or a two-handed sword or anything like that. So that's goes into why I made Koss a hobnist, because it's why his sword always appears in different sizes and shapes.
The heresy.
Yes. Sorry, I just enjoy that.
Kossian vampires. Wow.
Right. So, you know, and a couple of things from Planescape make their way in here.
Mm-hmm.
Eli Cromlech is from Planescape. He shows up big in Die Vecna Die.
There he is. Wow, look at the levels on these guys. Oh, it's 3rd edition. Fighter 18th, Wizard 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Eli Cromlech is he's a Cambion. Like
Okay. Is he a Cambion or a Tiefling?
No, he's a Cambion. He's full Cambion.
I had to do that. Cool.
You know, I'm just noticing, Sam, that one thing we forgot to include here was references to Vecna in the Orth Journal 1 timeline, which has become somewhat canonical among certain fans. So
I didn't include that because, well,
there's a question about how much of it Len wrote and how much of it Steve Wilson wrote. But it ascribes to Vecna a lot of activity in the Flannis, especially 1,000 years ago.
I mean, one of the big things is, well, two of the big things. One, that he sets his location essentially where the Isles of Woe are.
Right.
And two, he gives them dominion over pretty much half of the Flannes. Which, that's...
Well, that's, so getting to the tale of Vecna, that's essentially what I had to sort out when I was given the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer to work on. Because, you know, Zeb Cook gave us a lot of material, but he gave us some contradictory material that couldn't possibly both be true. So in order to sort it out, I had to make some decisions, like which was really the primary location of Vecna, and I decided that it'd be the legend that placed him in the Rushmores. I really liked the idea of a Chronicle of Secret Times written by Uhas of Naheli, the idea that there's a secret history to the beginnings of Keoland, the release of which costs this man his life because it was legends and lore that they didn't want to be revealed. Their knowledge of Vecna, their dealings with Vecna, the fact that they were the first to recover the Silent Ones, were the first to recover his hand and eye. So I just started making a bunch of decisions and saying, okay, this is the way it really unfolded, and that also gave us a Vecna that was alive as a lich after the migration started. So it created a lot of instant lore.
Yeah, because in the early days he didn't have a timeline. We didn't know where he was or nothing. So he could have been 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, or not at all, basically. Yeah.
Right. And the fact that we had purported eyewitnesses to his rule and his fall, I think was really cool, because there's where you start getting the legend, right? The legend starts being built at that moment. Once these the hand and eye are freed from the Silent One's tower, basically it starts making this journey around the Flannis and being discovered by people who, maybe they're poorly intentioned, well-intentioned, it doesn't really matter. As soon as they start using the hand and eye, they become slowly more like Vecna. The longer you have it, the more you become like him, until at one point Zeb Cook mentions that someone is literally called Vecna the Second because he's such a striking comparison to the original.
Wow.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so that's in Sam's timeline.
Right. And in this, to a degree, this is where I come in because, now Gary set up the baseline.
Okay.
Of course, they don't let him write everything he needs to write in the LGG.
Did not know that.
And so I have to start filling in stuff.
So we're talking 20 years ago.
Yeah.
24, 25. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
25 years ago now.
What's 5 years?
Time, exactly. Time flies when you're having fun. So, all right. So you got who? So I start with who is Vecna? Whose writing is this? Is this Gary's or Sam's?
This is mine.
Yeah. I mean, we actually labeled it a little more succinctly in the last version. So,
okay.
But essentially, after the first paragraph, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, one thing to remember, I'm writing from a baseline from Gary and constantly talking with Gary.
Got it.
So it's like, even when I'm writing everything, it's like, I can't write this without stuff that I got from Gary. And also the Cult of Vecna section is me paraphrasing Zeb Cook in Vecna Lives.
Got it.
And Sam and I are attacking this from two different directions. I just want to give enough material for a DM to know what's happening and jump off from. Sam is like, I'm going to give the DM more than he's ever wished for by creating an entire backstory. So that's essentially what you're getting there in the second half of this document, like 20 pages of what has happened with the Cult of Vecna, his hand and eye, and beyond. So,
okay. So as we start with the Cult of Vecna, how much of this is noted in other publications, or is this
Vecna Lives? All of it.
All of it's Vecna Lives.
Okay, I think except for maybe 3 or 4 lines. No, about 10 lines when I talk about the hand and eye relics directly.
All right, so the blood, the fingers of Vecna, the teeth of Vecna, the thoughts of Vecna, memories, heart, all these different subsects of the cult, voice, are all.
Yeah, they're just they're tiers of the cult.
Okay.
As you grow in stature, you gain a different title.
I see a Gary note here. All right.
Yeah, the relics is
okay.
The relics is where I start to intrude again.
Explain how, why, what's different.
Okay, well, Gary already mentioned the part about the relics taking you over.
Yeah.
So I make this more explicit.
Okay.
Yeah, the relics are. This is related to Vecna. Vecna is not technically a lich. He's not a true lich. His origin is different, and that's something I got from Eric Menye and the Jeff people from Living Greyhawk.
Really?
I wholeheartedly. Eric told me that one day, and I'm like, "Oh, that's freaking awesome! I'm using that."
Yep.
That's going.
I agree. Yep.
That's going in. I love that. That's going in. So Vecna's not a true lich, but the hand and eye are about as close to actual phylacteries as you can get.
Okay.
Okay. To be with a very simple pop culture, if you're familiar with your Harry Potter,
yeah, it's a Horcrux.
Yes. And like a Horcrux, if you're owning one, Vecna is taking over your soul.
Got it.
And
makes sense.
And so the thing is, they're members of the cult. They're participants in the cult because they are spreading Vecna on Earth. And now that Vecna is a full power, they might not actually turn you into Vecna, but they're still going to completely subvert you and work Vecna's will on Earth. But then I go further, and I add a third relic of Vecna. The Sword of Kas.
Okay. Got it right here. Yep.
In my imagining, the Sword of Kas is also a phylactery of Vecna.
Because it was used to kill him?
No, that's why it couldn't be used to kill him.
Exactly. That's an awesome point. I love that. That is part of the phylactery, and therefore it can't be used against him. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
The whole point is Vecna is trapped in his pseudo lich form. He can't become a true power. He needs to get out of that form. He needs to be killed.
That's another good point. Yeah.
And so he sets Kas up to kill him. He gives him this Sword of Kas. He does a whole bunch of things that it makes Kas think, wait, I'm about to get, replaced. And then the sword's like, yes, Kas, you're getting replaced. Go kill Vecna. Get rid of him. Stop him before he does it. That's the purpose of the Sword of Kos, to help Vecna ascend to a higher level. To help Vecna become a greater power. And so if the Sword of Kos shows up again, it's there to help Vecna become, well, he's a lesser power now. It'll show up to help Vecna become an intermediate power.
Mm-hmm.
If it shows up again, it'll be there to help Vecna become a greater power. It's yet another relic of Vecna.
Okay. Oh, look at this. We got Oranir on even, all the way from Belgium.
Yeah.
No, you're in New Zealand now, right?
Yep, New Zealand. Awesome. Welcome.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. So, and Gary puts, so in my Vecna lore, the silent ones were the first to collect the artifacts in his hand and eye, since they're very secretive. They don't know other pieces of Vecna may still have hidden in there. They got to have the foreskin, Gary. Please tell me they do. Hidden in the Great Tower outside Neodrop, perhaps even a third bloody part. All right. Well, that's cool. So, and that leads us to actual lore of the tale. So.
Yes. And there is a bit of a disclaimer here. Like I say, I put a lot of myself, the Cosnes, as I call him, a couple of other things. Gary's not fully in on it, but, it's fortunately for the history of Vecna, it doesn't have to be true.
Thanks, Patrick. Right. We've been talking a lot about that. So we've been talking a lot about how someone can be at something and someone's standing right next to them and the perspectives are completely different. And so whose story's correct, right? Maybe neither, maybe part of both. And I think that's a thing that gets lost in the word canon. Whose canon is it, right?
Well,
that's why you have the new canon down as your name in Cannon Fire now.
Yes, that's part of the joke. I am creating a new version of everything, but it's as canon as everything else.
Right.
It's especially in the new era of WotC. So it's as canon as anything else, as everything else.
Okay.
If you think I have dice police to send after you, I wish I did. I don't. I can't make you use this version of Vecna. I can't come in and have them, confiscate your rule books if you don't use Cosnes.
Lore police, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though they should.
All right, so a couple minutes earlier, this is a good spot, I think, to put this download in here, and hopefully you guys don't crash it, so we get the tail, because this is going to be, would you consider timeline lore, right? Correct,
yes.
At this point?
Yes.
Gary, what are
now
thoughts?
into the hard lore.
Yeah. What are thoughts you have before we start going over that? Gary, what else do you have?
Yeah, I think DMs can definitely take this material and run in all sorts of directions. For instance, I don't like to ascribe to my villains too much perfection in their plans. I think that might be Vecna's story, but what may have really happened to Vecna was that his lieutenants were getting a little sick of his, not paying attention to their more pressing matters, like these invading Iridians who are just sweeping across the plain.
Right.
And so Cass may have grown angry with Vecna for perfectly normal reasons, like that he was just neglecting his empire. And so, but I do like the idea that the sword was maybe ensorcelled to not harm Vecna or to complete some transition to another form. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you want to throw up that map.
I will. Absolutely. Give me 1 second here as I do this. All right, here you go. Don't crash it.
One thing I'll add to support, in a sense, support what Gary's saying, even though it's what I've written. At a certain point, I just started throwing everything at Vecna. I went full conspiracy nut level. The guy with all the little postcards on the wall with all the strings between them. I went there because I want you to understand not everything in this is going to be true.
That's true.
I mean, okay, I suppose, yes, you could do that, but no, I hope I wrote it ridiculously enough that you say, okay, yes, I believe you, Sam. I'm not going to use everything written here. It's not written that way. I certainly like certain stories more than others, certain versions of stories more than others.
Mhm.
But no, this is not meant to be used 100% literally as written. It's a
I mean, how many different versions of the Arthurian legends do we have with
Oh my
different
God.
tweaks,
Like
with
10.
different,
Oh, yeah.
conclusions, different places where Arthur is buried? I mean, it works on that level. I think that Vecna is, no one has perfect knowledge of what Vecna was doing, or what the I mean, he is the god of secrets. I doubt he's publishing his methodologies. So I created this map. It's basically a new version of a map I did like 30 years ago almost, where taking the lore in Cook's Vecna Lives module and trying to satisfy a certain subset of the rumors and legends around Vecna, I said, I think this is where maybe he had spread. And what was this empire? I kind of assume that it's a conglomeration of different provinces that are ruled by lieutenants of Vecna. He's not really, in charge on a daily basis. He devolves this power to his lieutenants, like
It's
Cass.
more like how far his fear spread, so to speak.
Yeah, and so one reason I think I call it the Empire of the Spidered Throne is because it has these 8 legs, these 8 little provinces that are essentially spread across the Flannis, and Vecna could appear in any of them, spend some time there, and frighten the populace or remind them of his malign influence by maybe raising a few villages and making examples of people. So I think that's how he kind of ruled his empire. He was not a present ruler. He devolved his power to others, and where you see that location called Tycheron, that is Cass's province, essentially. He was supposed to be on the Nerdiv, not too far from Divers, and so if you want a new ruin
I've
gotten
at least 8 new locations for my map from this research, so it's awesome. So thank you. There will be at least 8. I think there's probably more, like 15 or something.
Gary, by you with the best guess knowledge?
Yes, it's a best guess. It's not
okay.
Not
Isn't that okay?
So that would place it north of the well-worn Greyhawk to Divers Road.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
also, isn't that close to the? Isn't that close to the Cove and Slavers? It's awfully close.
It's south of it.
It's south of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool.
It's that's
also near Robilar's ruins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not
and
too far.
It's north of there is the Maraven is a town. It's north of Maraven, or close to Maraven. So but it's an empty part of the coast. And this is interesting because and I like this map a lot. There is one thing I want to change or add or tweak to this one, and we talked about it a little bit last night, and it's that here you have 2 separate pieces. I want to join them and simply say that Vecna ruled north, across the north of the Lort Mills, across what is a large part of Veluna today. And that I want to add that he was the one that divided the Elven Kingdom, that went from all the way up from the Vesvi down to Selene, and Veluna Vecna cut it in half, so to speak.
They're not going
so he cuts it in half.
The dwarves of the Lort Mills were probably mostly underground, so but it really could work the way Anna wants to.
There is another point I want to add to it, because there is and that is one thing that I want to change. And another reason I want that supports the map really, really well is that now we might have an idea of why the Greyhawk Peninsula isn't that settled, and why the Cairn Hills and areas around Greyhawk isn't that settled and that civilized. Someone really nasty screwed up that area for millennia afterwards, so to speak. So it was only when the Grey Kingdom came in and started their build, meaning. So we might have a reason in lore why there's not meaning it's prime real estate property. It should be, there should be ports, and there should be, it's in the middle of Nirduv. It's the center of the setting. It will be
Right.
great for, meaning Greyhawk City should be there to directly on the on the shoreline of the it should be up there, but directly on the Nirduv, like Lukish and Radagast City and Divers and the
down
others
again
that are
for
there.
Nirdu.
But this kind of makes sense that if
Dock.
Vecna was there screwing this place up for the next 700 years or so, it makes sense why that didn't happen.
Well, I do have a whole ancient Flan history
Yeah.
to go with a bunch of these things. And,
Mhm.
you know, I've discussed with Gary, one of the problems with Vecna controlling the Falls Gap and the Middle Velvediva is that's where the Iridians come through.
Right.
And there has to be some reasonable way they get through without going through the heart of Vecna's empire. So
Yeah, I mean, that map doesn't, this map doesn't do what you're suggesting.
But it doesn't mean that he needs control. It's just that he went through that area to reach the eastern part, so to speak.
did, so
yeah.
I do consider most of that area to be tributary. You know, they're paying Vecna tribute.
Right.
So he leaves them alone. He doesn't put one of his governors in charge there. And to a degree, this does effectively split the an elven kingdom in Selene from an elven kingdom in the Vesvi and upper Velvediva plains.
Makes sense.
Apart. And okay, and this is one thing to note. Because this is several thousand years ago, none of the countries exist.
True.
Oh, yeah, so, exactly.
So I could say, yes, it separates Selene from the Elven Kingdom in Voluna and Furiundi. Right. Of course, Voluna and Furiundi don't exist.
No, I'm saying that the ancient elves up in the Vesvi, meaning that seems to have been an elven realm back in the past, so to speak.
But I mean, for people listening, so when I say, yes, it's separated from the elven realm in Furiundi and Voluna, because the elves of the Vesvi would have controlled all of that, or tried to control all of that. I don't mean they were actually ruling Furiundi and Voluna. I just mean that...
No, Furiundi and Voluna didn't exist,
Right, I mean, they were ruling the territory that became those territories.
Yeah.
And
so, Jay, I sent you a follow-up map in
Oh.
Discord. I don't know if you can grab it and post that, but it explains a little bit.
I'll risk a crash. I got what I got to do. I got to bring Discord up on my machine.
Well, I did not send you the original Anna 30,000 by 25,000 version.
Yeah, so and that'll apply also when we're talking about the Ur-Flan. We have to use the modern names, but we don't mean the modern kingdoms.
Yeah.
No, this is like hundreds and hundreds of years before.
Right.
This is like 1,000 to 500 years before most of them existed. So yeah.
And so one thing to note about most of Kas's kingdom there, or Kas's territory there, from Tycheron. Before Kas was there,
here we go.
This was part of the Isles of Woe. And I mean, probably maybe that the far leftern part of the Kas section, the Isles of Woe control pretty much everything around near Div. But when they sank, Tycheron was one of the few places that survived and, you know, controlled the south coast. And they were moving up the Velvediva, which is why Vecna said, no, those people pay tribute to me. I killed all the elves to get them. You're not taking that from me. And so he went over and conquered Tycheron, and now Kas is in charge for him.
There we go.
Okay, so this one provides a little more context around the time of the migrations. That blue line
early. This is pre-Invoke Devastation line.
The Aerie across the Flannis.
From 25 years before the Twin Cats to 100, 150 years after the Twin Cats.
Okay.
Well, till Vecna's death.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, Vecna was stopping anybody from getting to the Sheldamar Valley. His empire, his forces, his whatever was essentially a roadblock for people getting into the Sheldamar Valley. So at that same time, when Slorotin brought the Soul survivors through the Crystal Mist, they are those red lines. The Naheli, the Roller are the main two groups, and they spread in the southern Sheldamar and start founding small kingdoms. I'm suggesting a sort of a maritime route there that may also be the way people reached Hard Bay. Maybe even the Mauer go
Makes
further
sense.
than that into Ernst.
You have Solm here too.
But these lands, the ones that these red lines are going through, they're full of demi-humans and Old Faith Flan, who are essentially in opposition to Vecna.
Yeah.
That might be why they let them in too, because that means that So that might mean that these beleaguered both elves and humans who were against Vecna might realize that, oh, here comes the Soul, and the Soul might not like Vecna either. So all of a sudden they could that could
not only that, Anna, but there might be a dirty secret at the heart of the Kyoish kingdom, which is they took credit for Vecna falling when in fact it was Cass who did it. And that wasn't revealed till centuries later.
Exactly, and that meant that the Soul got a good start thanks to that, so to speak, even better than they deserved originally. Yeah,
because the way I write the tale is that the Naheli were sending emissaries to the Dark Lord Vecna, and essentially suggesting that you should talk and maybe even submit, pay tribute to him. And then how lucky did they get that Cass came over and slaughtered him? So
why note the location up here in the Rift Canyon?
So that's Verilos. That's that location in the Mysterious Places article that I've been asked about a lot recently. So I'm trying to put all the Ur-Flan, Ancient Flan material on this one map. So it's not finished, but
okay, all right, no, it's great.
Yeah.
So this time frame of this is running up to 200 years after the Evoke devastation, basically.
Well, for the furthest
maybe
extent of the
maybe 100,
100.
Yeah, for the tip of that blue line of the Iridians.
Okay.
That's like 100 years or so after. Most everything else is, as Gary said, up to maybe 10 years, 20 years after the Twin Cats.
Got it.
Yeah. So with Vecna destroyed, essentially all his lieutenants went, every man for himself, and probably fought with all
Alexander the Great.
Exactly. They fought. Some of them probably withheld for a century or two.
Yeah. And another point that I'm guessing that might be one of the reasons that the Iridians ended up farther east faster, because they kind of skipped Vecna and say, "Oh, we don't going to mess with him. We just
they
go
probably
past."
took the path of least resistance.
Yeah. And it's wide and wild up there, so they could just snuck along and had skirmishes with Vecna, who hid and he hid in with his forces in the Lort Mills, and they kind of
as a matter of fact, I kind of suggest, Anna, that may be exactly the precipitating event, because you have all these Iridians marching by Cass, and Cass is asking for reinforcements and help from his other co-lieutenants and Vecna, and none of them are answering. They're just letting this happen.
And
so Cass is getting more and more frustrated. He's a great warlord. He's a Flan. He's very proud, and he's like, this new culture is coming in and taking our land.
And the Iridians were also fierce warriors in some sense. They battled their way there, so they probably didn't take too many prisoners either. So
all right. Let's go and let's take a look at some timeline info here, because I think this is going to put it all together for everyone. And once again,
confuse everybody.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah. There's the download. All right, introduction to the tale of Vecna. Following materials presented in the spirit of the background for Vecna Lives. This is intended to be a mixture of fact and legend. Several entries include conflicting versions of the tale. Others are wildly over the top. This is deliberate. There you go. All right, tale of Vecna. So we start negative 1250 CY. Wow.
Yeah, that was the thing. I eventually decided to put everything in CY.
That's good. That's good.
I'd written several versions with Flan tracking, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. Everyone's going to keep asking, well, how many years ago before there's...
Exactly. Put it in common years. Yes.
Put it in common years. Let's let it be simple. And also a lot of dates are circa, around. Maybe a couple of years off.
So you have him here in this negative 1230. You have the spirit of the Green Man going in him from the Archdruid. Are you saying that's how got a lot of his power?
That's from Eric Mengi and Jeff People. Yes.
I don't doubt that with the way the direction that their living Greyhawk went.
Yeah, because they did a heavy Celtic theme.
Yeah.
They used it all. The kid. Oh, I guess it goes back to the ancient Greek. The king must die. Yes, the warlord would be infused with the power of the land, which is of course Arthurian as well.
Yep. Exactly.
And of course, when he finishes his task, he will be sacrificed to restore the land.
Yep. King of Lander won. Right. Still remember that from when I was a kid. Watching a movie I shouldn't be watching at that age.
It's still a great movie.
It's still a great movie. It's not as dated. It doesn't become dated like a lot of the other ones.
Yes.
All right, next one. Negative. We're down to negative 1220. Vecna battles the invaders, ultimately defeating them. The war wears on Vecna becomes cooler and harsher in response to the brutal savagery of the Kel. Okay. All right, so this is the first contact by Yashak. How do you pronounce that?
Yachak.
An entity of the far realms, often called the Violet Flame. Okay.
Yeah, this was Gary's idea relating to other stuff, the Malhel and Validus, and I'm like, ooh, I can use this with Vecna.
I see down the Wind Dukes, which comes in Age of Worms, doesn't it?
The Wind Dukes, the Torhun is from Ex Caractus Commemore.
Right.
Who knows where he got the stuff from?
All right. Vecna says that the serpent wars Vecna after he wins he's slain according to tradition. Shows him original book enable him to survive, gain the full powers of the Green Man for himself. So all right. So he's basically what's it called when you steal when you're living off something else. Oh my God! Like
parasite.
He's a parasite. He's a parasite of other people's powers. He's not imbued with a little bit of deity-like power, like the Green Man is the power of what nature, nature,
yes.
Right? And he's twisted it, so he's not a lich.
Well, okay. Right now, while he's still alive,
right,
he's basically probably a quasi power level.
Okay.
Because he's been imbued with with an aspect of the Green Man.
Got it.
Yeah, and he's up there with a mage of power of the Sul Empire, or one of the mage priests of the Bakluni, one of their genie binders.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not a joke at this time. He's ridiculously powerful.
Right, so the ritual, actually, this next ritual that he does, it goes wrong. The ritual kills the Green Man and traps the essence in Vecna's corpse. We're not the same process created liches, similar effect, and Vecna is now undead. More like self-willed undead.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. And the Druids, of course, become outraged. Where the thousands.
Oh yeah.
So the old faith and Sheldon return their attention. This eventually brings Olven folk into the conflict of the rulers of the fairy realm. Of course, Upsilene, of course, Lemnos fail to appreciate the series at first. Of course. All right. So we're moving right along here. So he's already been alive when we get down to this 700, 800 years, 700 some years.
Oh yeah. Well, around 250.
Yeah, but when we get down to this, it's 750.
Yes. Oh yeah. Now he's getting long in the tooth. Of course, now he's undead or something like that.
Right. All right. So now his power is increasing. The War of the Elves escalates, and they barely hold on the east bank of the Sheldon gets assaults. Finally, what is his troops? Living?
Oh yeah, the Flan, the Flan of the not all the Flan of the Valley, but the Flan mostly in Grand March and Bissell. Okay. They love Vecna. They're all in.
Okay.
He saved them from an invasion. And now he's leading them. He's striking back against the elves who were just running over everything. The old faith, they're concerned with the trees, with the balance. They're not concerned about ruling and everything.
Is Vecna an Ur-Flan, Sam?
Vecna, okay, essentially by becoming this pseudo-lich thing, Vecna makes himself an Ur-Flan.
Yeah, that's why I want to have him as he's that age. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Soros asks, it has nothing to do with Orcus. He stole Druidic power. He stole the Druidic essence of the Green Man. Is what is being stated here. It has nothing to do with Orcus.
Yes. Yep.
makes sense for the Flan background.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
this can't be further away from what I guarantee that like WotC has developed him from, right? Yeah, which is
Well,
cool.
you know,
Oh,
To
I
be
don't
honest,
think I don't think they're using that origin.
like I say, I talked to Eric back in Living Greyhawk days, and he told me this story, and I'm like, oh no, I'm using it.
yeah,
I loved
but
it.
but I also think that that type of products that Wizard of the Coast put out for 5e, they don't want to go that deep.
Yeah.
That it's not for it's not for us in that sense, and so I can understand why they don't want to go that deep. It might be overkill for their target audience for their products. I can understand why they don't want to go 6 layers deep for for lore and stuff. So keep
Cool.
it fairly simple because it's a mass market product.
So, all right. So, Tysharon is endured, contesting with Selene and Luna. Tysharon attempts to expand the Velvet Reserve, where Flan have become tributary to Vecna. War breaks out. Vecna is victorious, where Koss betrays Tysharon. How's he? What does that? What does that mean by him betraying Tysharon?
Koss was a slave in Tycheron.
Oh, and he overtake. And then he. Okay. Got it.
And kind of like, in 300, except Koss is not all deformed. He comes out, tells Vecna, I can tell you how to get around the defenses of Tycheron.
Okay.
I'll be your slave instead of theirs.
Yeah.
And Vecna's like, you know what? Okay, it's a secret. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be. That works. Yeah.
And of course,
Remember, Sam's Cass is a Hobniz.
yes, he all fell out.
Yeah, that to me, I have a little bit harder to digest that one.
He's a short guy.
It's no big deal. It's all good. It's all good. I appreciate
Vecna the turtle. Alex, that's awesome.
Be worse. It could be worse. All right. Vecna learns 2 signets.
Digby the gnome, Vecna the turtle.
The ritual did not fail, and that second Shaq purposely misled him. It's not to make him supreme here, to spread more power so he could spread chaos and destruction. All right. So he's actually getting his strings pulled.
Oh, yeah. And this is where I explain about Koss being, a Hobniz.
Okay. All right. Vecna says, leaving Koss to defend his empire. Vecna goes into seclusion, creates a cross that contains a fragment of Vecna's will. All right. Small Iridian tribes. All right, so the Iridians are starting to come across.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why, we still don't know, right? There's still no why.
No, we don't.
Because of the Backlunar Siluese wars and the orcs and goblinoids rampaging, and
yeah, but we don't have the geography is difficult, and we don't know the details of that.
Okay.
So that requires someone smart writing up that story and kind of make it make sense, so to speak.
I have been.
Make it make sense, please.
Yeah, I have my idea of why all that happened and in what order and where they came from and so on. So there are many different versions you can pick and choose the one you like as a DM. So yeah.
One of the first installments of my version has already appeared in the Great War.
Mm-hmm.
The Crossing of the Banner Hills.
Yeah.
Always something good. All right, so we're in negative 395.
But it's so cool that we gradually kind of unwheel or kind of put the mist of history and these legends. We kind of little by little, it's like our archaeology. We kind of uncover a little bit of a trace here and there. It's like the origin of mankind in the real world, so to speak. But this is the Greyhawk version. We have to kind of dig back in history and find little tidbits here and there and fill in the blanks. And this is awesome. So yeah.
All right. So we also have Sewell migrating here too.
Yes.
Already from the north. All right.
Yeah, 395. The twin cats have happened. Sleriton brought everybody through the tunnel, and after passing through what is now Yeomanry and getting across the Good Hills or coming up the coast, the Nihili are moving further north up the Sheldamar Valley.
Okay. All right. So this is where Fleef gets destroyed.
Yep.
So it's a long time ago.
Which was Vecna's birthplace.
Right, but I'm saying it's like
Which is all lore from the comic book, which almost
Yes.
nobody owns.
Exactly, where
Right.
Vecna's mother plays a role in his life too, which is kind of cool.
But she's
So,
got to
yeah.
be long gone by now, though. I mean, this is
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but she
It's-
plays an
they-
interesting role there that you can spin on. Yeah.
Yeah, as I hadn't read that. I hadn't accounted for that in this.
Yeah.
Vecna was born somewhere in the Grand March.
Yeah, there are various written accounts on what went on there, which is kind of makes a good backstory. So yeah,
they kind of give him an Anakin Skywalker type story, you know.
yeah,
They hurt his mother, so he must hurt them.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like it.
yeah.
All right. Well, so far it's cool. I don't agree with the Hobbit thing, but you know,
No, same here.
I
But
think it should be a
that's the
gnome
only
instead,
thing
but,
that
you know, we won't
the
talk
other
about
thing
that.
is
Just
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So much hate for my poor Costners.
Vecna doesn't seem like okay.
Have you found a second fan of Costnez?
All right, so it says here that Koss is starting to worry about Vecna allowing the Soul to come in.
Yeah, well, as Gary said, the Erids are rampaging through the Velvediva.
Right.
Now Vecna's making a deal with the Soul to conquer the southern Sheldamar.
Mm-hmm.
What about Koss?
Yeah.
What about Bob?
Okay.
And that's where the sword is like, you're right. He's going to turn on you. You have to deal with him first.
Yeah, another interesting thing about his history that we don't know is when he became a demigod.
Right.
There's no lore in Vecna Lives or the other books that tell us when that happened, but it must have happened between his death in, negative 350 something.
Well, it looks like 340 here.
Yeah, I put it at 340. I put it just after the formation.
And his appearance in Vecna Lives. So
yeah. I put it just after the formation of Keelan. Gary would still prefer it to be just before the formation of Keelan to let the Keo come in. I prefer Vecna to let the Keo through to support his plan.
Okay.
Gary's like, no, and so again, that's where you can consider theirs. Pick which version you like more.
Yeah, absolutely. All this can be utilized to the best of however you want. All right, so so it looks like Green Man's free to restore land. So final component was sacrifice of Vecna himself. Vecna thoroughly dead is free to receive and worship as a follower. His last act is to consign Koss to Citadel Cavidius. So Koss disappears, and this is in Vecna Reborn.
No, this is in Vecna Lives. This is Citadel Cavidius on the. I keep forgetting if it's the plane of salt or the plane of.
I always thought that was in Vecna Reborn, but it's Vecna Lives. It's in.
Oh no, his domain in Vecna Reborn in Ravenloft is called Citadel Cavidius as well. But this is the actual Citadel on one of the negative quasi-elemental planes, and it shows up in Vecna Lives.
Okay, it's in Vecna Lives. I always thought, yeah, okay, cool. So he's out of the picture now.
Yes.
All right, so. Now we're going to talk about Sewell, and I'm assuming Sewell and the Iridians are going to merge up in a little bit here. Right? Well, it looks like here Keelan's formed, so I'm assuming it has to happen at this point. Are they warring at all, the Sewell and the Iridians at this point? Or are they a little bit?
They both kind of realize they need to ally because they're all being played to a certain degree.
Right.
And if they keep fighting each other, people that are not them are going to win, and they're going to be, just losers. They won't be able to control
stuff. All right, so Keelan is formed this early. I didn't even realize that it's formed in the negatives well before. Before the book Devastation.
It's one of the oldest nations in the Flanese.
When did that happen? What date was that?
The Twin Cats are negative 422.
Oh, 422. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, it's not that old, but it's
we're about 1,000 years.
You don't,
a little over.
You don't even have that in here. Okay, because this is
it's old. Yeah.
Keelan is negative 342, so 80 years.
80. Okay, that makes sense. All right,
but it's still one of the oldest nations in the modern nations. It's the oldest still surviving of them. Well, you have the Elven realms, and there's probably the Dwarven, but long before the Great Kingdom and even the earlier precursors were barely forming at this spot.
It's the oldest human realm.
Yeah.
So.
Except the Flan were gone afterwards. That still exists, so to speak. 10
Now,
maybe.
all the Ur-Flan realms that were still around, they're all gone by.
Yep. So it's
Uh,
only the
So
demi-human
the silent
realms
ones are
left.
around.
Yeah.
The silent ones are formed sometime after the forming of Keeland.
Yes.
Okay.
It's cool that you get them in homage here too. But Gary,
Yeah,
did you write
yeah.
that part? Yep.
Oh no, they have to be there because they're an
Mhm.
important part of the story.
Exactly. That's the cool. So they get part of the story. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
Gary wrote the original version, so this is sort of me
Mhm.
paraphrasing Gary's
Yeah.
Razzledor.
Gary's
Awesome.
history.
Yep.
So, like, all right. So, looks like he was abandoned by Vecna. All right.
I mean, we could definitely tell the story more simply. It's just that the tower of Vecna falls. It's destroyed by Cass, and Cass is himself seemingly destroyed, although we later find out he was cast into the outer planes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Thule, the Naheli, come to investigate. They are aware that there was some great upheaval, and they see that Vecna's tower is in ruins, and the seers of the Naheli start searching through these ruins, and they discover the hand and eye. They recognize that they're very powerful objects, and they carry a lot of this material from Vecna's domain back to Nile Dra, essentially, and hide it there in their tower. And other Sul are jealous of the fact that the Naheli have these objects. So they attack the Naheli and steal them from them. And so the hand and eye
That's how they got out the first time. Yeah, that's
they
so
were
cool.
released into the world. Exactly.
Yep.
And they begin so it is an interesting question whether Vecna almost does this on purpose, because
I was going to say, well, yeah, they whisper like the ring in Tolkien. They whisper and get people to do things for it.
It's almost like every time someone uses his hand and eye and becomes quite powerful and maybe destroys other people, gains magic, he is empowered by this.
Yeah.
And so, like,
cool.
Like filling a pig with pennies, eventually he gets enough to win demigodhood.
Yep.
So he lets his hand and eye go into the world. Like, people might ask, why doesn't he just recover them? Why doesn't he?
No,
why doesn't he just put them back into his in his spiritual form? Because I'm assuming that his original physical form is destroyed. If there are other parts of him, the silent ones may know, but as far as I know.
Yeah, but I think you're completely right in that it's also kind of an insurance policy, because he has his divine form that now resides wherever that it resides. But this is kind of a backup. He both get influenced by letting his eye and hand roam around, and it's also an insurance policy, because anyone who gets after him needs to kill both his divine form and find the eye and the hand and get them too and destroy them as well.
And even though he's
the
gone,
sword of Cass.
Even though he's gone, he's not without followers and admirers.
Yeah.
And Sam has weaved a history of one of his big admirers, followers, into his timeline. It's a really cool character, I think.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Great.
So Malhel, and it's the tower. Is this on the map now?
No, it's not yet. It's not yet.
Not
the map.
Okay, but it's in the center it's in the Dreadwood.
A lot of that material for people in the audience is in Living Greyhawk Journal number 1 and number 4. Number 1 is about Keelan, number 4 is about the Silent Ones.
And I missed those places when I read it first time, so now I'm going to put them in. So I'm going to read this and go over it and then consult you and Gary and Sam with about the placement of these things. Yeah.
Now, in my campaign,
here's a Spurties.
Yeah.
And this is another place where Sam and I are still debating. But in my campaign, and this is something I debated with Eric Mona over, oh my God, like 25 years ago, is that for me, Vecna is one of the prisoners of Castle Greyhawk. He was in the God Trap.
Oh.
So the events of Vecna Lives were essentially delayed by the fact that he had been imprisoned. So with Ayuz, with Zuakin and Rudd and all the other characters that are like let's call them the Pezohawk roster of gods imprisoned in Castle Greyhawk, because we actually wanted demigods, not just any random power. But And so Vecna emerges from Castle Greyhawk with perfect timing for the events of Vecna Lives to happen.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, Gary mentioned that to me late on, and the thing is, I never had any strong feelings one way or another about it, but it works. It works, so I have no problem incorporating that.
So as Birdies is alive at this point, I'm thinking, right? He's not.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So another, because that was that. I'm glad to see
Birdies,
Gary. You took a
he's a throwaway character from what,
D1,
D2 or D1?
D1, just lying there.
Yeah,
with 1,000 magic mouse in his
place. How could a lich have no backstory? I mean,
that's true.
He can't just be sitting there. So I decided
it's awesome you reused
I
him.
invented one for him.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
So basically, he becomes so he gets overthrown, and then just is like and then he retreats into the Underdark.
Right. But this is where Nolhas the Unforgiven comes in.
Yeah, so Nolhas, there's a record of Nolhas family annals of the Linth. So he's a chief servant, damned is the Unforgiven for his own cruelties in a reign of evil. These bad guys just never get it, do they? That it's just bad things are going to happen to them.
Oh, well.
It gets worse.
In a sense, not for Nolhas.
Yeah, okay.
He has a separate entry down below.
All right. Okay. He was a Hobbit too. I was like, oh no.
No. He's worse.
Yeah, the Tower of Validus is not heavy guarded. While Nolhas was exploring, he encountered the Yahides, a minor flag train in the northern eastern Dreadwood. Did you?
So Dave Cook gives us
from Yazidis in Iraq.
No. That's from Vecna Lives.
Is it really Yahides?
Yes. Yahides. Wow. Yeah. The one thing that didn't make sense is that Vecna Lives has the Overking putting down the rebellion, whereas that wouldn't make sense because the Overking never had any control over the Dreadwood. So,
true.
I think he just mixed up Dreadwood and Grandwood.
Yes, that's what it seems like.
Okay.
So he gives like 5 or 6, Sam, right? Examples of the hand and eye appearing in the Flannis, being used by someone, and causing a lot of trouble.
Yeah. This is before the Great Kingdom's even founded yet.
Right. And yes, here's the next Hobniz.
Yeah.
Yes.
Previously restricted clan. So all right. Counts for some point some sort of pattern had been a warrior. So most versions say aside from the loss of status, pattern was really interesting. So most basic power enabled him to clear significant area support to new forms the role had preferred. So he's trying to use it for good purposes to start. Oh, good. That's awesome. Yeah, he turns from indulging himself to planning domination. Why not, right?
Well, because the hand's telling him to be Vecna.
So,
do you guys remember that movie about a killer a person who gets a transplant, and it turns out the transplant comes from a killer, like an eye?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was like the 70s, early 80s. I mean, it really comes off like that. At first, you transplant this hand onto yourself, and you think everything's fine. You start getting more powerful, but eventually the hand has a mind of its own and starts telling you to do things. Or when it feels like it's lost confidence in you, it actually stops giving you power, and then you die.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let me see first one. Oh, lots of stuff here to absorb here. So it looks like, wow, this guy, so he's all over the place.
Yeah, so most of Sam's history is tales of the emergence of the hand and eye.
And them people going crazy with him.
Yeah.
How it caused a lot of trouble in the Flannis, wherever it emerged.
Yeah.
And it would go dormant for a while, although in your campaigns, you could have extra characters getting the hand and eye in different places if you want to explain something that way. But eventually we come to what is it, Halmadar the Cruel, right? Who's the final bearer of the hand and eye before Vecna Lives.
Right.
And so, like idiots, the Circle of 8 go into Halmadar's dungeon and fail to buff themselves. so he totally wipes them out.
What year is that? Oh, is that at the end?
late 570s.
So we got
400s, I think.
we got
Well, when the circle
when the circle
investigate.
Yeah, the circle's 581.
Here's the one with Ortharn. The practical joke here.
Oh,
It was Gnome Lord of the Blemu.
Yes. Actually, I think it's just before that. There's a bit of an Easter egg in the one with let's see, Primaria Lefano and the Battle of the Fortnight's Lane.
Oh wow. What? Here it is. Lomaluco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's actually a bit of an Easter egg in that name, Primaria Prim Lefano.
I'm trying to find it just to see what it looks. I don't even see it.
Yep,
Primaria Lefano.
Yep.
Looks like an elven name.
It is.
It's
City of Greyhawk.
Yeah, what's that?
City of Greyhawk.
Oh, go for it.
Vesparian.
Vesper. Yeah, Vesper. So it's a relative.
Vesper Lefano.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, Vesper, who is supposedly has taken over the guild after.
Yes, an equally insane elf.
Yes, it's taking it over after to turn Deathstalker has left.
Yep.
The Assassins Guild.
Yeah, I needed an elf name, and then I said, "Wait, is there any elves in Greyhawk?"
Yeah.
Okay, this will be perfect. Nice little. Let me put a call back there.
Oh my god, this is great because it's so freaking long. You got so much here. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of tales to tell, and
Nullheist still around.
Oh yeah, he's still around.
Jeez.
And you get to we get to the end of Halmadar's tale. We get to Vecna Reborn and Vecna Die, and then we get to Vecna and Nullheist.
So let me just So you got so much in here. Holy jeez, dude. All right, here comes Halmadar the Cruel. Yeah.
I warned you.
Yeah. Wow.
I wove his story, Halmadar the Cruel, into my campaign and made heraldry and stuff for him.
He's gonna need an executive summary, Curtis.
Yeah.
White courtesy phone.
Halmadar himself is actually at a strategic time. 430 to 465. You're getting some time with IUs, with the Horn Society that will be there in another couple of decades. And he's also around, just before or just at the time that the Bandit Kings sacked Trigol in Ernst.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how could Bandit Kings get all the way to the border of Nairon across Ernst? Maybe if they're led by someone with the hand and eye of Vecna?
Okay.
I think the big picture on this stuff is that a DM could really use this as background for a new dungeon or a new adventure they want to set. So, for instance, if you take the map of Vecna's Empire, if your planned location lands somewhere in that area, you could say that there was an outpost of Vecna. It could even be a first level adventure. It could be a tiny Bronze Age outpost that the PCs are exploring, and you could scale that up as you go. The cult, for instance, is full of lower level characters that your PCs could go against his cult, for an entire campaign, and you wouldn't even need to bring in Vecna.
And it might be character. Yeah, and you might have there might be Vecna cultists that do pilgrimage to sites like this certain times of the year or stuff like that. That could be part of an adventure. They might go there because that might be a haunt or some presence, or their magic might be more powerful or something like that. You can tie in cool stuff.
Yeah, if the PCs hear rumors of the Hand and Eye, who's going to be right behind them? The cultists, the Seekers. The silent ones. I mean, you're going to have a whole bunch of people down your neck.
Yeah, and if you tie that into ancient history, it makes much more fun, so to speak. You can.
Yeah, and you could still run your Greyhawk. You know, Vecna could be doing all these things in the Outer Planes. Eve of Ruin.
Yeah.
You know, Vecna Reborn, die Vecna die. You don't even need to worry about that stuff. Just have Vecna as the demigod or lesser god of secrets and magic, right? And secrets and magic covers a lot of cool stuff for adventures. So
absolutely.
you could you have the cult, which is his priesthood, and the potential for finding all sorts of artifacts related to his 1,000-year reign in the Flannis.
Yeah, and that Vecna Indicator campaign, Gary asked me to add that. And yeah, the focus of a Vecna campaign should be on the cult. The cult is doing something. The cult has got some scheme. Or even it's not on the cult, and the cult just shows up. You know, maybe the cult's just there because the PCs need some critical information, and it's a cultist of Vecna who has the information. And the only reason he's giving it to the PCs is so that, well, 20 years later, he can say, oh, do you want everyone to know you worked with the cult of Vecna to become so successful?
Interesting.
Right? That's how the cult works. That's what the cult should be. It should be this, sneaky little secret thing.
Right. That makes sense.
Like the Temple of Doom cult.
Yeah.
Right.
Just have them throwing themselves against you in all sorts of situations.
So I want to ask this question. Am I forgetting this wrong? Wasn't the Age of Worms things a 3-aspect god, a group, and one of them was Vecna of the 3?
Yes.
The Ebon Triad. Yeah.
Yeah, I never liked that idea.
Okay, so we're ignoring that.
Yeah, that was kind of why if you have 3 awesome villains, why put them together? That's diminishing them in some sense. Okay. So yeah.
Well, here's the thing. 25 years ago, one of the first things I wrote and put up on Cannon Fire was a triple cult of Istis, Biori, and Weejas. A really standard triple aspected mother power.
Yeah.
For the Flanese.
We cannot complain Christianity is have a trinity too. So there is good tradition in the real world for doing that. So I can understand why it's tempting to do it in the fantasy world too.
I never understood that in Age of Worms. Why it wasn't sufficient to have a cult of Caius.
Caius would have been perfect.
Yeah. Age of Worms already. Yeah,
exactly. Why put the other ones in there? That was my point exactly. Yeah.
So the Ebon Triad first shows up in Shackled City.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing is, I can understand wanting to have that kind of an evil cult. The problem is Vecna does not belong with Hexdor and Erythnol.
Exactly. Those are and Caius and stuff. Those are coming from a different tradition in a lot of sense, and they have a different story and different purposes and different methods. So yeah.
So the point I'm making is that you forgot you haven't added any of that in here.
No, I did not include the Ebon Triad.
Good. I like it.
It does not fit with Vecna at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you come up with a third power instead of Vecna, sure, the Ebon Triads I think it's a great idea.
I mean, I think the one kind of cool association, which I don't mind, is that Vecna is listed as one of the primary authors of the Book of Vile Darkness.
Yeah.
So because he's the god of secrets and magic, I think that fits very well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was introduced in the Book of Vile Darkness appropriately.
Yeah. James Jacobs.
And he might have written the in-game version, so to speak, so long ago that before he gathered enough power to be competitors with them, he might have written it as a way of understanding or whatever. So his research material early on, so to speak.
Yeah, it may be the formulas, the lore that he discovered to try to become a lich.
Yeah,
that's how it's written. That it's a bunch of ancient text, scraps of here and there that Vecna discovered. And then he just added his own notes to it.
Yep.
And it's been added to later on to become Book of Vile Darkness. Yep. I think in later iterations, 4e and 5e, they might make it. No, it's absolutely written by Vecna. It's like, it's something he contributed to.
Yeah. He might have picked it up and worked on it and so on. Yeah.
All right. Here comes tough question number 1 for Gary. Besides the gnome costs, the halfling costs, Give me something you kind of disagree with Sam on in this.
I'm not a big fan of the Green Man origin. I don't mind the idea that it was a dark power like the Serpent or Meershalk or something that spoke to Vecna and gave him the secrets. I don't like Vecna being like almost like a Christ-like figure to the Flan. It's a little disturbing. But we also differ a little bit on the order of events when the different cultures came into contact in the Sheldamar Valley, for instance. But I think, for the most part, I mostly adopt Sam's notions of how the hand and eye appeared in the Flannis and how that unfolded. I really like, the Paladin King of Miro.
Yep.
The idea that he had the hand and eye and were able to resist it for at least a while.
Right.
And that may have created the evil cult of Foltest that is now in Dimri.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's cool. Yep.
It's a cool origin story.
Yep.
I like the gnome lord of the Blemus. I mean, we don't get a lot of gnome material in Greyhawk. And the way I play Greyhawk gnomes, they're pretty badass. They're warriors. They use their illusions in order to kill you ruthlessly. So the Flinty Hill gnomes to me are, they're tough. And so for them to have a leader who then, had the hand and eye and was,
I'm saying you made sense that is a reason why they placed Halmada was buried there. So yeah.
Is the Paladin King also Heronian? Yeah, he's got to be Heronian, right? Yeah.
No, Foltest.
Foltest at this point.
Yeah. Don't blame Heronius for something he's not involved in.
Heronius doesn't know his hands from his butt, Curtis.
And we have an old one before we got the old one. That's another interesting part of this story too.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I did make Koss a Hobniz, why Padden's a halfling. I wanted to give some badassery to the halflings.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, the
worthy gold. Yeah,
that's a good point. Halflings have no lore in Greyhawk.
You gave them Cass, yeah.
They do have lore. They do have lore. Every town that they're in gets slaughtered at one point. Elmshire has been conquered more than Palermo was.
We don't even know where the halflings come from. Did they migrate? Did they migrate with the humans? Did they?
Yeah, we have no idea.
Were they already in the Flannis? We have no idea.
Hang on a second. Now we have two. With Sam's Hobni's Cass, we have two. We have one slaver and Cass. They're working on their reputation or notoriety here.
Well, and that guy, who's that guy, Jay, who's leaping in the that society? From the Dragon Magazine article by Moore.
Leaping.
He's that famous artwork where this orc or something is fighting with these halflings and this guy.
That's the two-fisted fighting rules one, isn't it? Brawling. It's a brawling table.
Yeah.
Right. That's a fight. Yeah, that's on Hollywood. That's on.
It's a Holloway.
That's all. That's all bar fights. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then there's the jesters too. Yeah.
My DM is going to punish me apparently tomorrow. I shouldn't have insulted Ironians.
And just mentioned the old one. As it happens, while we were kind of finishing up on this, I have a long-term idea about Ayuz and Igwilf. And Gary has the same idea about Igwilf. There's a reference in Dance of Demons about Igwilf being Muhi from each mythos.
Yeah, I mean, to preface that, I would just say Igwilf / Tasha is another character that's been taken from Greyhawk and has almost unrecognizable now with her tie to the Fae.
Yes.
They really don't want villains anymore. It seems like a good villain,
Yeah.
So maybe in the future, Sam, there might need to be a Igwilf book to restore her dark power back to her.
You need to do the same you did for Vecna. You need to write the Igwilf story. We need the community need to come to Igwilf's rescue here.
Carlos
I'm gonna bring in Curtis on that. Curtis,
I have an Igwilf story that I haven't published it in full. I think I need to do that. I did a write up on Igwilfs. We need to collaborate, and I can put my.
There's a dragon article on Igwilf. On the Demonomicon spells. And I was asked to write a backstory for her. So there's a story there from when she essentially was in the company of Zagig, and then
Mhm.
became what she became, and her son was born, and
Yeah.
the rest is history. But I think we interrupted Sam's point
Right.
about so Ur-Flan. No one called themselves Ur-Flan. No one calls
Right,
themselves
right.
No,
anything.
I think that's slanderous from Great Kingdom. or
That is
Oridian
totally
called it that.
Great
Yeah.
Kingdom.
Mhm.
It's a neologism they invented to describe
Yeah.
the Flan that they found weren't pastoral old
Mhm.
faithers.
Yep.
Right.
These were different Flan. They were tyrants.
Demon worships.
They wielded magic. They worshiped demons. They were
Yep.
liches like a
Mhm.
Sararak. So
Yep.
in some ways, it's a catch-all, because
Yeah.
Vecna would have nothing in common with Queen Alyssa. They wouldn't,
No.
consider themselves peers of any sort. But she was around at the same time he was.
Mhm.
And in the North, it's suggested that maybe there was something up there called the Old One, that may predate Ayuz. So take it away, Sam.
Right. So like I say, so I've always wanted to more identify Igwil with Louis. Gary always wanted to more identify Igwil with Louis. And I had an idea to relate this to Ayuz. And then Gary had another idea about Ayuz. And as we suddenly put these ideas together, this whole story to explain Ayuz and the Old One came to be.
Well, there are two strains of thought on Ayuz, right? One is that he's actually ancient, hundreds of years old, maybe 1,000 years old, and for some reason no one noticed him until the last 150 years. There's another school of thought that says Ayuz actually is only 150 years old. He was born from Grast and Igwilv, and somehow assumed an identity that wasn't his, and then became, this Dark Lord that took over the North. So take it away, Sam.
And so to reconcile all of this, like I said, my desire to do more, Gary had the same desire to do more. I wanted to reconcile this old story. Gary had another idea about modern Ayuz, and I put it together, and we have a story. I think Gary has it slated for Visions.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so we
have an explanation for Ayuz and the Old One.
We'll give you one clue. Carl Sargent created this hook known as the Soul Husks.
Yeah.
So we may finally find out from Sam what the Soul Husks were and what their purpose was.
Yeah, and like I say, thanks to Gary's idea for them. And like I say, he suggested that, and the story just was there for me. It was bam.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So yeah, if if we were to, and I think Anna and Mike have been kind of talking about this.
Well, I did it right up. I haven't told that many because I want to torture my players in my campaign. But I wrote up the story of Soul Husk. I've talked about it a little bit on the show back and forth. And spells surrounding it too. Yeah.
No, I mean, Anna, that the idea that we could create a map of what the Flannis looked 1,000 years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The idea
it's been in the works for a while. Yeah.
So that DMs can. It's not because you're going to run a campaign in that era. But when you're fast forwarding to the future, you will know what happened there, and that kind of creates a subtext for all the that you could create in that area. So,
Oh yeah, you're lost for a second, but you're back again.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, what questions does the audience have, if any, as we're wrapping up here? And this was
I love
cool.
this discussion.
One thing I'll toss out, the little we didn't get to a deep discussion on the Ur-Flan, but I expanded a little the Ur-Flan cheat sheet, and I put it up on Cannon Fire.
Oh, cool.
So that is my overview of who the Ur-Flan were, when they showed up, what years and all that within the campaign, and also when the elves and the dwarves were settling the Flannays. I do include links. I do include sites for where I got the information from, or where the time frames from, so you can see which stuff I just completely made up, and which stuff has a more firm foundation.
Cool.
Yeah. So Extort asks that we have a lot of villains in Greyhawk, but not a lot of heroes. I think that's something we should correct. Because there are a lot of heroes, we just don't emphasize their stories.
Well, you guys don't.
Well, you need more villains for your campaigns because the
That's
characters
true.
are supposed to
have
be
a
the
ton of
heroes. So
heroes in my campaign.
you need 2 villains for every NPC hero, so to speak.
But
No,
heroes
you
can
more than
often
that.
serve as exemplars
Oh
for
yeah, and you
characters
need
like
historical heroes back
yes.
that are died and or old, so they can't fight anymore. So they need to
Right.
as quest givers for the characters.
We
Yeah,
have a lot,
like the Greek myths.
Mm-hmm.
and as things develop and people start, we have some anti-heroes in mind too, like Fritz Winchester, right? Ray Curtis. I mean, you got people that are, my players of 40 years despise, but the audience loves. So you figure that out. So yeah, I mean,
I mean, is Curtis even acting?
it was even
You know?
Did you see that Saturday night? I don't know. That was
cool.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that was yes. Well,
Uh,
Fritz is back tomorrow night, as I remember seeing him. But
I kind of hope you'll read Noel. People will read Noel Hast and find him to be a suitable villain.
yeah, I really was intrigued about him. So definitely.
Oh, one question. The Kell, I never heard of them before I started reading these summaries, and
it's
all of a sudden the
Greyhawk name.
Kell comes in. Yeah.
It's a Greyhawk name for Knowles.
Yep.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, thank you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, as we close this up, Gary, what is your final thoughts? Wow, this is fantastic. And if you don't have it, the download is it goes in chat. I put it in multiple times. Please look at it at your leisure. It was a lot of work by Sam and Gary, so thank them. It's wonderful. So, Gary, what would you like to say about this topic?
That it's always been an honor and a lot of fun to get to work on these characters, and then you watch something like Stranger Things and you see Demogorgon mentioned and Vecna mentioned. You're like, wow, I got to work on a little bit on the history of these people, and they'll never, those media will never acknowledge Greyhawk and the origins of the lore that they're working with, but it is kind of neat that there are still fans out there who are interested in the origin of all this material. And so that's why we put this document together, to make sure that it was never lost going forward. And that, go ahead.
Don't be shy out there when you get BS in Twitter or Instagram, or I don't even care. I don't even do TikTok, but if someone, and they go, hey, we have this, which is a little more definitive than the crap that you're hearing out there, you can always share it with them. You know what I mean? They say, take a look at this, because that's another way to get people interested in the Greyhawk community, right? Oh, wow, look what they put together. They put together a timeline. They put together a lot more data than is out there with innuendo. So, yeah.
There's still a lot of months until they release, what is it? Is it in the DMG or the Player's Handbook?
DMG.
Yeah, so
and then the other guide coming out.
I think Guide of Worlds or Book of Worlds, whatever it was called. Yeah.
I think there's 2 jobs that we could do until then, which is to keep producing this material that would serve as an introductory to new fans, but also to help organize it so that people can find it, because there's so much material out there that can't be found. It's just, you have to know exactly where it is in some ways.
Yeah.
It's like, the warehouse where they keep the Ark of the Covenant, it's all the Greyhawk lore is boxed up and put away in the garage.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, because I have not precisely a bibliography, but an extended bibliography. 3 modules, 3 source books, 1 semi-source book, however you would qualify Eldritch Wizardry. A dragon article, and then other stuff. All this stuff is like, how do you find all this information on Vecna? All this stuff you have to dig through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like anything else, you got to reference 12 different locations. Right. You know what I mean? It's all over the place stuff. So
yeah,
it's out of print. It's not always easy to find.
No, it isn't. So,
right.
Yeah, and that's the thing with us. People have been playing so many years. It's just like, I have spells in 30 different books to make a class. You know what I mean? It's just like, everyone goes, well, I want a compilation of that. Well, that doesn't exist. They had the compilation in 2E, but then 3E came out, 4E, 5E. You don't have, you got to do it on your own. You got to do the groundwork on your own. And sometimes you get lucky and the community does it for you. Another thing, this is what I want from someone in the community to do. If you have a copy of this, just freaking, I know people want to bend it. Will someone scan it and put it in PDF for us, please? So at least we'll have another reference. Someone's got to be able to do this, right? We should have that. We should have one copy of this somewhere.
We should have a PDF somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, of that.
Yeah.
It'll really help
so, so we have at least one reference in case it get lost.
There's
we
one
don't
on
have
Noble
any...
Knight for $350, and I just can't.
Okay.
I can't.
That's
buy
a
that.
lot.
I can't buy that now.
Yeah, that's...
What's really shocking about this is that Cannon Fire was already in existence when this came out, and we didn't hear about it.
Right.
So how bad is the marketing that the fans of Greyhawk in various places don't get to hear about a new product like that?
Yeah.
So, that's a shame. But if anybody has a copy that they can take pictures of, that would be amazing.
That's it. Help us out. Thank you very much, Gary. That was awesome. Sam, what do you want to say in closing?
I'm happy to put something that like I say, it's a project that started 25 years ago, and I'm happy to get it out. I'm happy to really see this finished or mostly finished. And even when we get in all of Gary's alternate takes, because I like his alternate takes, half the time he's got an alternate take and it drives me to make another alternate take.
Cool.
And so I like having something like this out there. I'm glad we could put it out there and really give the community more for Vecna.
Yeah, it's a different kind of product. I mean, it's not your standard write-up of something. It's definitely something more like a college essay.
So it's the first of 2024 that'll go in the stack that we share at cons and Gary Con next year and go, look what the community put out. It's the first one of the year, right? Think about it. We had a compilation of a pile about that high last year, right? All the stuff, and it's going to be the first one. So I'll print it. Someone will print it and bind it or whatever, and then we'll have it, and then it'll be because people always will look for Vecna information. So
for sure, but there'll be a lot more stuff coming out this year.
Absolutely, that's the great thing. There's going to be so much more coming out, so it's exciting, really is. And Gary, I always appreciate you coming on. Thank you so very much. This was a great discussion.
A lot of fun.
Hopefully we got a lot of downloads on it, which is wonderful, and we'll continue to push it. So I noticed that my Legends and Lores and Gabbins are getting a ton more hits than they used to on YouTube. So we're getting a lot more views. Like the Robert Kuntz one is going gangbusters right now from Saturday morning.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Did you put a lot of keywords in there?
Just word got out that it's the fourth time I've had Robert on, but it's like so that one's going gangbusters, and even the one Gavin from Sunday night.
People are searching for Greyhawk all of a sudden. So,
that's the thing, and that's why I'm doing these shorts too. So we'll talk about that in a second. Anna, what do you got going on?
Oh, tons of stuff. I'm in middle of a big commission that I'm working on for Gamehole Con. That is, it was simply because thanks to the World Machine debacle and then I took on the commission. So right now I'm very busy doing that. I'm going over my website and I'm also rethinking another project. I've shelved my City of Greyhawk. I'm not going to do any research or anything on that until the DMs comes out.
Point.
I'm just going to wait with that, and then when that comes out, I'm going to take a look at it and see what that might affect things, so to speak. So that's just being postponed like 6-8 months. But that also means that I need to fill it with something, and I'm taking my house rule system is going to be way more than a house rule system. I've been working on it for 4 years. A bit over 4 years, and I thought it was just going to be house rules and they're going to be out there as a little PDF. It's going to be more than that. So the working title is Hawk Tales. So it's going to be a full rule system. So and just give you a little hint, there are magic fonts that you need to learn different types of magic, and there is a skin craft one for Vecna. So you need to build in it because the system, it's going to be Creative Commons, so they will come with Greyhawk built in, so to speak. So there will be a version of that. So there will be stuff built in there, so to speak. And Vecna will have his own little version of, he can do stuff, and if you learn that magic, you need to master his scriptures and stuff, so to speak, his way of storing spells in order to read them and stuff. So it has some twists here and there. The working title is Hawk Tales. I don't know what the end will be. I've got a website and a domain for it, so I will place it there. Playtest. I will probably get a starter playtest out by the end of the year, somewhere around there. There will be a starter playtest for it. And I'm not going to spill much beans because I realize I'm doing it the opposite way. I spill some of the advanced rules before I even talk about the basic ones. So I'm going to change things there. And this is not, I don't want, this is probably not going to be big. A lot of people will not like it. It's simply because I can run my own games the way I want them to be run, so to speak. But I think that there are others who might be interested in it. And there are systems that subsystems you can steal from it that there are built in. So that is something I'm going to, and most of it, it's done. Most of the mechanics, almost all of the mechanics are done. Now it's just writing it in a way that someone else can understand it apart from me, so it can eventually go to play test later the year. And that's something I want help with down the line with editing. Because since English is not my primary language and writing is definitely not my forte, so that means that I need help with that part. And then it will be a little round of playtest with the basics, and that's later on. There will be cool stuff like how the divine works and stuff like that, and more than base magic, way more than base magic, and it will come with alignment language too. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, and some other cool stuff that ties into. So people who play D&D and every edition will feel at home, but it will also be different, so to speak. So yeah. So that's just because I need it in order to move forward. And then the GIS project is moving along really, really well. I got great help from one of my top patrons. And so that one is hopefully within a month we will have the first test maps out. There will be a symbol update, and the next phase of it is already underway. So there will be way more material coming out. So hopefully this fall we can have the first good look at the next version of my map, so to speak. That will probably be the last that uses this map background, so to speak. And also a whole bunch of other stuff. This is the time when I put together, I'm doing the building blocks for 5 to 10 years in the future right now, so to speak. So that's why there's very little coming out, but it's a lot of groundwork being laid, and it's a lot of fun, so to speak. So I need to, but I'll see, I get out my story about Igwilv again, and there's some more heraldry that I need to finish off as well, so to speak. So thank you everybody who bears with me in the not much coming out at the moment kind of time, but believe me, there is a lot of stuff in the works in the background. So yeah.
So,
and there will be a mapping live stream on Friday. Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Tomorrow night, the first Ulick Pathfinders, led by their new leader, he's de facto after what happened Saturday night, Fritz Winchester. He's going to guarantee a curse. I'm going to make you laugh because he's going to say, I saved all these people because I told them where they needed to go. It's going to be awesome. He's going to be like, I'm the leader, I'm taking over. They're going to go, you're an ass. We'll see. So for Secrets of Redemption is the name of it. It's going to be 2 weeks, 2-weeker here. Bill Master Crafter's out because he's playing a father-son hockey game. He's actually playing, so he'll probably get injured, but that's the way it goes. And that's tomorrow night. So first one of that. Then we have our special game Saturday at noon. All right. Spaces between the arcades where I'm playing and Bones is GMing it. So I never played the system before. Just want to have fun and just see how it goes. So Myriad and Darling and William Henry Dvorak are playing as well. So that's noon to 3. It's my anniversary, 28 years as well. But my wife's working till 3, so it works. Then, no stream Sunday night. Ann and I both have Memorial Day weekend things we're going to. But it's good because this person couldn't come on Sunday, Curtis, but he can come Monday night, 9 o'clock, a late night start. On Memorial Day, the Monday of Memorial Day, it's Ed back. All right? Unique magical rituals, locales, and items at Greyhawk and the Realms. He's already created them, he told me. Some rituals.
Mm-hmm.
And some items and stuff. Yeah, some more Ed. That's Wednesday night. Monday night. That's Monday night, the night of Memorial Day, and then we'll go into it. Now, here's a big announcement. I stupidly agreed to do a 24-hour stream with D&D, right? 24 hours on my channel through a whole day. So why not just take it one step further? Gary, we talked about this. I think I'm going to do a Hateful Wars 24-hour stream.
My God, you're insane. You're insane.
3 scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do 3 scenarios of what happened at a certain point in the Hateful Wars. Yeah.
Wow.
Why not?
The third one should be the Fall of Hypeport.
There could be a lot of things that can happen. I'm not sure. I got to think about this. I may limit it to the Lord Mills, have a bunch of elven characters and dwarven characters in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I may be reaching out.
Small military.
Yeah, I think so. A little tidbit with Tommy John Kelly's one of Tommy John Kelly's chapters. I may do it. I may do a series of scenarios, and we'll have some talk in between it, and I'll be almost unconscious by the time it's over. So I think I'm gonna. Why not go big? So that'll be that's in July. All right. So I'll get to that. I'm on vacation in the middle of June, so I'll be working on that when I'm away. I think that's enough for tonight. Let's do the giveaway, and then we're gonna raid into someone. Here we go. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. One. Norker managed to get like the rest of my cosmogony and such out. It's the top 3 things over at the Grey Grimoire.
Oh, cool.
And I also want to. Asher had asked about information on the Ur-Flan. He was interested in the Trask and such. We didn't get to it tonight, but if you ever want to do more on the Ur-Flan,
why don't we just have an entire episode on the Ur-Flan coming up a couple weeks?
We should have a Flan, Ur-Flan, Flan.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it says we did all Vecna here. We'll do the Ur-Flan coming up. Sound good?
There's Asher. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, here comes the giveaway. Everyone in? Someone will get their pick of a classic D&D reprint. I gotta hit the wrong button. I think I'm gonna raid into Folk and Myth tonight. All right. Let's finish this up here, and we thank you all. As I gotta hitting the wrong buttons. I'm always hitting wrong buttons. This is behind the scenes wrong button. So giveaway. Here we go. Closing it out. Winner tonight is Fuzz. Uncle Fuzz. You're in. You win. Yay. I think Fuzz is on, right? He is. Oh, I don't see Uncle Fuzz on. Anyone see Fuzz on? I'll give him 10, 20 seconds. I think we're going to have to pick another winner. Oh, there you are. You're here. Good.
Okay,
you win.
Awesome.
Congrats, man.
Yep.
I didn't see you in the list. Oh, no wonder, because you had a VIP and I didn't look up there. Duh. All right. So Fuzz, reach out with me and we'll get that sent out. And then tomorrow night we'll do a giveaway. I'm not sure what the giveaway for the game tomorrow night is. We'll figure it out. But thanks, Gary. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, community. Follow if you can. I'm doing more. Top 5. I'm doing top 5 reference right now.
I love it. I love it, Jay.
Thank you.
You should do more of that stuff.
I'm going to, after this, I'm going to do my top 5 adventures.
Nice.
So right now, number 5, Greyhawk Adventures. Number 4, Slavers, and then I got 3, 2, and 1 from my personal top 5 reference books of all time for Greyhawk in my shorts. So not the shorts I'm wearing, but the ones on YouTube and Instagram are 2 places I'm doing the shorts. So please take a look at them. We're getting plenty of hits. We're trying to. It's reaching out to the community. It's working. Keep it going. So thank you. All right. See you all tomorrow night, 7:30. All right. Wrong button coming as usual. I hit the right button.
Yep.
All right, raiding into Folk and Myth. Say hello to everyone over there.
No wrong buttons tonight. Wow.
Not many, just behind the scene ones. So, yes, fun times. I gotta hand type this in because they, of course, can't make things easy like they used to be in the pit. Every time, oh, this is gonna make it better. Although I did, you notice I finally did fix all my shout-outs. That took forever to figure out what they did. So they split it out in multiple different ones. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night. Awesome.
Yeah, it popped over. Yep.
Yep.
Are we off?
1 second.
Yes. And I finally have proof you're a netbot, Gary.
You like my avatar?